Hey guys, what up? I am tired. Today we're going to be. That's a lot of notifications. Today we are going to be. Well, firstly, I actually did a whole bunch of T17s off stream between yesterday and today, just to stress test the build. And I mean, bruh, I can fuck him. Anyways, as I was saying,
Have anything for us to
ah.
disenchant? Let's make some dust.
I tested it in a whole bunch of T17s, and I have a few notes to make in that regard. I guess first notes. I don't like T17 rolling. It is a pain. Secondly, what do I think about how it performed? I'm not the biggest fan of some aspects of its performance, and I'm a huge fan of others. What do I mean? I actually recorded a few clears, well, one clear in particular, or a few situations I should say. So for example, I'll open up one video right now. This is a part of its performance that I really liked. And keep in mind, it also made me realize I really hate some T17 mods. Like for example, grasping vines is just cancer. I don't know if I never noticed it before, why I never noticed it, whatever. It is terrible, right? It is just awful. So here I left the map because I ran out of swords, and I mean I could have just kept slugging away, but I kind of just wanted to reset and get some swords. But like, look, this is petrification statues and grasping vines on hits. Now all these different abilities being thrown here are all considered hits. So it's like just grasping vine after grasping vine. Your swords are struggling to move. Petrification statue. AG is frozen. It's like so many things are happening all at once. I mean, granted, I'm very tanky. He's very tanky. We handle everything pretty like chill. I eat her slams for days. Like it's fine. But it is absolute cancer. And then one big note I have from running so many T17s is I'm not a big fan of running them. Oh, by the way, these skulls, they apply grasping vines. Also fun. Anyways, I'm not a big fan of how it performed in certain areas. Like, I'll give an example. You could easily have a situation when you run damage mods where your swords are struggling to come out because, well, they're dying. Simply put, they are dying, and there really is no solution for the fact that they are dying. Why are they dying? Because T17 has a lot of damage, and I mean, it's understandable that it has as much damage as it does, but it's still a lot of damage, and it's not with their base stats. They don't really clear T17s that well. I would say, like, damage wise, well, DPS is not really an issue. Well, it was, but the reason it was is because they were dead instead of being alive to then do the damage. So like that was the biggest pain points in T17s. Like it was fine, but at the same time it wasn't fun. Like I was unkillable in many different scenarios. Also, the one weak point of this build is most what's it called, noticeable in T17. That's another thing. And if you're wondering what weak point that is, like I said, I can eat Katarina abilities all day every day, but the one thing that will kill me is like this is a different map. This one I think had grasping vines. I think I wanted to record the whole fight with grasping vines just to show how cancer it was. But like, I can eat her abilities all day, but I can't really stand still. And the reason I can't stand still is because then the swords would gradually run out and I'll be in a rough spot. So I move around to try to get my swords to kill the things to then keep spawning new swords. Essentially, that's kind of the biggest motivation here. Like, for the most part, I'm chilling in this fight, except against the dots. We don't mess with those dots. Dots are the biggest downside of this build. Dots and one other thing. The other weakness this build has is small hits. Very fast small hits. Poison build seems expensive as hell. You mean this is poison chains of command, right? So is it expensive? Kind of. Yes, it is. This version is definitely expensive. This is my high budget variant. Oh, by the way, these skulls I can just eat their damage all day. In fact, I ran into a situation which was pretty funny, which is that, like, look at it. That's how I can actually eat. There are points where I think I ate a whole bunch of them. In any case, what do you call it? I lost my train of thought here. Yeah, it's expensive. This is a high budget version, so the things I'm using are not cheap. But at the same time, I haven't spent up to a mirror because I don't think I've farmed up to a mirror since I started putting this build together. So I would say if I had to estimate how much I have spent in the character you are seeing right now, it's somewhere close to like 150 to 180 divines, give or take. That ballpark. This is not including the AG I had that died in the past, which was due to a previous like iteration of the build that I since like fixed, or I've basically fixed the reason why that happened, so it's not gonna happen again. But it's not including that. Pretty much, I've spent a lot of extra money that I didn't need to, because I've essentially been playtesting everything just to make sure everything works, and some things have not worked and some things have worked, and we've just been iterating on the things that have worked and the things that haven't. So that's where this build currently is. But yeah, like look at the skulls, yada yada. We can eat its damage. But yeah, in terms of how much I have spent because of AG, the reason he died in the past, if that's what you're asking, I'm not sure what you're asking, but if that's what you're asking, the reason he died was I had a different setup with the AG. I wasn't running regen like Mask of the Stitch Demon. I was running Crown of the Tyrant, which he's recovering that in with Mask of the Tyrant. It was entirely dependent on having. By the way, here I died because I ran out of swords. In case you're wondering, sword near many swords and boom. He was using Crown of the Tyrant, and when he was on Crown of the Tyrant, his entire recovery layer for when he takes damage is dependent on swords dying. So they die, he gets life, and that's how he becomes immortal that way. But then we just decided to say fuck it, and we switch to Mask of the Stitch Demon. It's less damage, but I don't have to worry about him dying. Crown of the Tyrant dies in the maps I ran today, 100%. So this version has a max hit of over, still has a max hit of over in 800, 900k. I think it's like 1 million, but it's hard to tell because I don't think PoE properly removes ES for the max hits, for the max hit calculations after you equip a Mask of the Stitch Demon. So it's kind of like iffy on PoE, but I would say it's still like 900k to 1.1 mil max hit for the AG, and if he doesn't get one shot, he doesn't die. Anyways, but yeah, like you would notice in this fight, the problem I'm talking about, which is staying at max swords in a single target scenario, especially when you're like, look at that, especially when you're taking all that damage, is not easy, and you cannot give them the kind of regen that he has. You can only give them the regen which is based off of swords dying, and you know that is fine, but there's a limit to, they don't have that much life. So when you say recover 4% of life when minions die, it's like it helps them, but not as much as you might like for it to help them. So then you have in many scenarios where if you fight a tougher enemy that doesn't just die in like, if that doesn't just die, you would have to then sustain, like you have to make sure you're killing these side minions very quick, like you're killing them and everything, just to make sure you have to make sure you're killing all these side things to make sure you don't run out of swords, because if you run out of swords, then you have no damage, and as you're trying to pump out new swords, they'd be dying. So like that's the biggest thing. So like this is not a build for juicing content, I would say. Like that's the biggest caveat, and that is not necessarily a fault of the build itself. I would say that's a fault of the archetype, the chains of command, if you will. That is the biggest draw. Can you link the build? Yeah, I can. I have to open PoE for it though. Where is it? I'm currently trying to iterate to create a version that can run juicing content for the character, because there is one situation where the character dies, or well, there are two situations. You throw a hit that is bigger than what my character can take, effectively one-shotting it, he will die. And the second situation is if he takes many small hits, like a very quick small hits, that are not enough to stun him, that would also kill him. So like lightning orbs are like the biggest downsides to that. But yeah, this is just like if clips of the T17s I ran today. This is the build. Do keep in mind it is a work in progress. This is the high budget version. I have a lower budget version that I'm working on, but that said, it's chains of command. So like there's a limit to how low budgets you can have without even that low budget version. It needs work, because I want to remove Mask of the Tyrants, or Crown of the Tyrant rather, and there are a lot of things I treated on in the high budget version that I would want to transfer to the low budget. So that one is not ready, I would say. But this one is what I'm currently running in game. I'm going to be running some maps, some T16s, 8 mod T16s, and you can see how it performs. Another thing about T17s with this build that is not the best is there are a lot of mods that are just unfriendly, like you just don't want to mess with, and as such it makes it so rolling the maps itself, you're going to be rolling for a bit. So like for example, this guy can, let's say you can survive, like my character can survive a lot of fizz as Ellie, like 100% fizz as Ellie, 100% fizz as fire, 100% fizz as whatever. Let's say I can live through the damage. There is the problem of not even the AG dying, because the AG is very immortal, or he doesn't die, right? The problem is the swords. The swords will die, and if the swords die, you have no damage, and that is a problem. So you can't really take mods like big damage mods, even if you can survive it, because the swords need to live. And because of the nature of the build, we can't really take advantage of Blessed Rebirth. Like we can, like, so every they would be essentially immortal for 4 seconds, and that would help. But past that 4 seconds, they're just dead. So we come back to square one, except now our AG is less tanky because we had to give up on Dread March or Life from Death, and Life from Death is not negotiable. It is like one of the only reasons I'm confident enough to even take my AG into a T17 map as dangerous as the one I showed. So I would say there are some issues here that are just, I've been trying to figure out solutions, which is what I've been doing for the past like 2 weeks. Which is why we're able to come up with this version, which I'm actually very proud of. This version, I'll be honest. The fact that it can eat basically everything in a T16 8 mod map, it can eat Strongbox, Ice Nova, it can eat DD, like the strongbox DD, which is typically very deadly, depending on the map mods, but like it can eat it for the most part. But then I don't think it can run Harbin just because of what I said. The many small hits that don't stun you will kill you. They will 100% kill you. So keep that in mind too. Those are the weaknesses of the build. If you stay clear of like those specific things that are harmful to the build, you should be very, very, very chill. And the T17 map I was running, this is because I was trying to juice it. If you were not running juiced T17s, then you have a much easier time. Like if I was actually running my regular T17 strat, I would probably coast through it. But this is what this is what an 8 mod map looks like on the build. Keep in mind, I think right now I probably have item rarity. Yeah, I have item rarity support, and I'm using a gold flask. So these are two things that I'm missing damage on it, and B, I'm missing tankiness on it. So like, just because I like getting more gold. So just keep that in mind. You obviously can go for more damage, but up to you. Think. Ooh, containments. That's nice. But yeah, so long as you are, and keep in mind, even those small hits, you can largely mitigate it by just popping Val Molten Shell. So you pop Val Molten Shell, you should be fine for a bit, but the moment it goes down and you're left kind of like without anything, it's also kind of dicey. But yeah, Val Molten Shell, whenever you think you're about to take damage that is spicy, and you should typically live through it. That's why Val Molten Shell is so important for the build. Like that Ice Nova is actually very deadly. Like look, DD. Woo! Okay, I didn't live there. My flask was off. To get this tanky, you want to have a Progenesis, and it needs to be on. This is not a reduced flask map, right? Okay, it's not. We can try the next DD. But anyways, eating DD is not even a requirement for the build. It's just something, a nice bonus that I like. The fact that I can, you know, it's pretty good. Well, I can sometimes. If this is off, maybe not. And if I want to be sure that I can, I just have to pop this. Again, Val Molten Shell. If I popped it there, I probably don't die. So next, if we run into another box that has the same thing, I will pop it. And you'll see what I mean. But yeah, for the most part, it's a very comfortable build. You don't have to worry about dying when you're mapping, because this build is designed for mapping specifically. It has mapping as its strong point. When it comes to mapping, I don't really have to do anything aside I summon a few at the start and then I just run through. That's pretty much it. And then I can just keep going with themselves, resummoning themselves, and yada yada. And if you're running a summoning setup or a clearing setup rather than you're sure you're not going to boss, then running fresh meat is not a bad idea. Because, oh wait, this is not Defiance of Destiny? That kind of also explains why I died. I thought I was using my defensive setup. So there's two setups for this build. There's the Defiance of Destiny one, and then there's this one. This one has more damage because I'm using Unetor's Vow for the extra link, but it's less defensive. When I'm running T17s or just general juice content, I run Defiance of Destiny to shore up my defenses, because you typically I don't like dying. But yeah, that might be why I died to the DD. Next, I'm actually very curious to see I'm very curious to see if I can live through the DD without Defiance. With Defiance, I don't die, by the way, in case you're wondering. I don't die. I just want gold right now. So yeah, like playing this map, I can literally play with one hand on the on my mouse and that's it. Because the only thing I'm clicking is right click to convocate. I do want to keep my hand close to my keyboard just in case I run into DD, because I want to test that thing out. But yeah, for mapping, this is very comfortable. Let's drop the shrines just in case we run into it. Oh, this is Ice Nova. By the way, Ice Nova, very deadly. I was surprised by how deadly it is. Like, more so than... Where is it seen? I don't think I should have anything. By the way, okay. Ice Nova, if I'm not on capped cold res, it will kill me. That's how much damage it does. It genuinely one-shots. So you kind of have to make sure through the Eta altars, you're still capped res. Who on earth is doing this? What the fuck was that? Almost killed me there. Anyways, you have to make sure you're on, you have to make sure you're on you have to make sure you are on, what do you call it? Who's destroying stuff? Thank you. Remove this. DD. Yeah, okay, so now I remember what else. I remember my train of thoughts. Ice Nova. It will kill you if you're not on capped resistance. So I just like clicking altars. And as such, I don't want a situation where I click minus cold res altar there. Isn't it funny that I've been looking for a DD? Like, people try not to get DD. I'm like, is this one DD? Is this DD? Can I test this? Can I test it? Test? But yeah, I've just been basically for the past few days, I've been dying even more than I probably should because I've just been stress testing it, trying to see what situations I die in, what can I do about it, and stuff like that. I have a more defensive setup that I basically just edited before my stream, and that setup should alleviate the one problem I said it has, which is having many small hits. The dying to many small hits that are not big enough to stun you. What is this? Meh. Anyways, that one uses a life on block shield versus having this minion defense shield. Because this shield is geared to a slightly more damage with the minion damage mod. But even more so, it is geared so that your AG has more PDR. And has levels, and you don't care about levels in this build. Like, levels do not give you damage because of the way change of command works. Why we get levels there is because additional levels makes our AG tankier. So that is why we go for levels on the shield. But if I were to drop this shield, I could go for an armor shield, a life on block shield, and I can recombine a shield that would actually give me and this is without too much effort. Like, I would spend maybe 20 divines doing this, but I can recombine a shield that will give me T1 life, T1 like for over 40% block chance, it would give me some spell block and recover life on block, so that those small hits it out. And with this version, actually I'm just going to show it right now. It's the latest thing I did. So it's this one. I respect this from Recouper. So basically it has a 44% chance to block spells and block attacks. Has slightly lower health than the one we're currently running, but the idea is with 44% chance to block, you're gonna block almost every other hit pretty much, and each time you block you recover 5% of life. And because of just how much we're able to scale the chance to block specifically, so like because we're getting chances to block spells and chance to block, so you know, with how much we're scaling that chance to block specifically, we are then scaling it with every 1% chance to block spell is 5%. Is every 5% chance to block attack is 1% to block spell. So that's kind of how we get our spell block up to 40%. And this version is the only version I would run versus Harbingers. But again, we also still run into an issue of, will the sword survive the fast hits of a lightning orb? You know, that's those damaging orbs. Will your sword survive it? It also comes down to that, and I'm not, the way I know to solve that, because there might be a way to solve it for your swords, it just would take redesigns, I guess. And the way I would solve it is I would have to drop this. I would have to drop this and go for this, or if I don't drop that, I would have to somehow go for this one, where to do that I would probably drop I'll probably drop damage or something. But by going this node and then maybe shifting my offering to bone offering, they would then start blocking a significant amount of the damage from the lightning orbs to then survive, because every time they block they then heal, to survive, at least to live longer, to then do the damage they need to do before dying. So like that is an option that's available to me. I don't know what I think about it. I don't know how much I like it, but it is definitely an option. I'm a new player looking for a build who can run minion / AG comfortably without dying too much. So the question I have for you, before, if you're asking about this build specifically, is, do I recommend it? This is not a league starter. It's not a league starter. It shouldn't be your only build, and the reason I say it shouldn't be your only build is if it is your only build and your AG through some, maybe just some BS that happens or whatever, maybe there was a mistake, you know, it wasn't geared properly, anything. If he were to die, you have no build to work with. Like, you would have to re-gear your AG before you can do damage, because since you're a new player, you might not know what Chains of Command does. So I'll give you a brief explanation. Chains of Command is a build that animates the weapon of your animate guardian. So your AG's weapons are what is actually fighting for us. You would see triggers the ability animate guardian's weapon when an animate guardian kills an enemy. Then to make sure animate guardian is always killing enemies, we give him gloves that make it so every kill in his like vicinity is given to him. So when he's around, any kill that happens goes to him, and then I trigger the skill. That's how it works. So if your AG dies and you lose his gear, you have nothing to then summon those things with. So that's the first disclaimer. If you do want to go for this and this isn't your first build and you have some currency to play around with, then you know you're in a much better spot to make this character. If you're looking for something where your AG is not gonna die, this AG is not dying. With the way I have him set up anyways, he's not dying. But I also know that not everybody has the knowledge to make the items I make. For example, why is he not dying? I have a level 21 animate guardian. I know how to scale his defenses. So like level 21 here, I got a level +2 minion helm that has insane armor for myself, but +2 means he's getting level, so he's getting tankiness. I have +1 level here, he's getting tankiness. I have PDR here, he's getting tankiness. I have life from death here. So it's like, I'll explain it this way. There are certain breakpoints you need to do to get him to the point where he's immortal. And if you understand how to find those breakpoints, then, you know, then power to you, you can do it. You should have no issues, he won't die. I don't expect my AG to die to anything, really. Like, he has eaten everything T17 has thrown at him. He should be fine. So like, I don't expect, like, I can actually show this. So I'm going to show numbers here. I'm going to explain the numbers. But with this version, this version I'm currently running, this is not my in-game character, by the way. This is like perfect. This is not perfect gear, but this is like aspirational gear. So my character's gear is not nearly as good as what is in this PoE. But in the aspirational gear, with the aspirational gear, my anime guardian has a maximum hit of 1 point. This is skewed. I don't like saying 1.1 mil here, but it's technically one. I would wager it's like 900k. The reason I say this is this ES is not there. You know what I can do? Let's try this. Minions have minus 3000. Yeah, that worked. His ES is still 37k? How? Because of the life to energy shield? You know what? I know exactly. I know how to get this. Have 100% less energy shield. There we go. Finally, it worked. Okay, so he has a max hit of 845k. That was what I needed to do. But he has a max of 845k. Lightning, cold, fire, 500k chaos, 500k physical. What this means is for him to die, like this is the maximum amount of damage he can take from full life to kill him through all his mitigation and all his defensive layering, right? Now, you're not going to find many sources of this much damage. There aren't any sources of this much damage realistically. So then you would need you would need him to continue taking damage to kill him. Like you would need to keep draining his life pretty much where he's not regenning to kill him. So what that does is with the helmet we've provided, he has a recovery of 68k. So every second he is regenerating 67k life. And what up, Arcane? How you doing? Every second he's regenerating 69k life. So not only do you have to do his 90,000 life pool, you have to do damage that can deplete that, but you have to deplete that in less than a second, because if you do not, he is going to regenerate back to full health. So that is why he is so tanky. He has 83 max res. He has some block, nothing too fancy. He has endurance charges, give him PDR, like physical damage reduction and elemental damage reduction. He has insane regen. Like he is not dying. So if you can take all, and keep in mind, I forgot a big defensive layer. Another defensive layer for him is life from death. This node means whenever something dies, all your minions are going to recover 4% of life. Now, when you're on max swords and you summon more swords, you know what happens? You're replacing them. But replacement in this game counts as dying. So they technically die, and as such, he's always recovering that 4% of his life for every sword. And if you kill, like, if you're killing basically when you're mapping, it all comes down to every 0.5 seconds, he's gaining 4% of his life. So not only do you need to beat his 68k regen and his 90k life, you also have to beat the percent of his life regen that he's getting, so long as, you know, swords are there. TLDR, he is very tanky. He's not gonna die. He can eat all the DDs I have eaten. He has eaten, like I think I showed clips from the start, but he has eaten T17s, you know. Arcane, you want to see something fun? You want to see something fun? I already showed this, but I'll show it again. This is what Katarina looks like when you run Grasping Vines. This is not even the map I sent you a video of, by the way. This is a different one that has Grasping Vines that I decided to run. So this is what he looks like in this scenario. This is how Cancer Grasping Vines is. Every time anything hits, my minions are all getting Grasping Vines, which is slowing down their movement speed and is doing damage to chaos dot damage to them or stuff like that. It's very bad for minions, but the amount of like abilities he eats, or he ate, I should say, because it was this afternoon, is like everything I ate, he ate, and I ate a ton. Yeah, that's why it's so bad. Like, look at all these vines. Look at my AG trying to move. Where's my mouse? Look at my AG trying to struggle. If I'm losing my mouse, I'm sure you guys are too. But just watch. If you're watching the AG, you can see the grasping vines. Watch the swords too. They literally struggle to move. That's why every once in a while I convocate them, because I think convocation counts as just a dash and then it removes everything. What up, Kane Mix? Welcome, welcome. How you doing? But yeah, I was just explaining the nitty-gritty of the build. Kanemi, I will be. Ooh, Hey Mix, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Kanemi, I'm going to be posting a build guide for this. If you're interested, just remember that this is not a bossing setup, and it can struggle in certain scenarios in bossing environments. I wouldn't recommend this if you do a lot of bossing, but if you just want to blast T16s, clear all of that, then you know this is perfect. You're Kanemi from YouTube? Oh, okay, that makes sense. To be fair, I can see the similarity in the name. But yeah, I'm going to be posting a build guide. It's going to be a more complicated one because there's a lot of things. I don't want people to try it and have their AGs die. So I'm going to have to try to hammer home all the things that are important for the build to make sure your AG doesn't die, just so you feel confident in investing in his gear, because if you think he's going to die, you might not want to invest, which is where I was at for a bit until I figured that out. But yeah, look at all the skulls that typically I'm supposed to be running away from. I don't need to worry about them, so it's fun being able to do that. This build, I am probably going to use this build as a template in the future. Why? I like what I did for the defenses. I went out of the box for this build. I could have tried to use Valen 90% block, but I wouldn't have. I have learned a lot making this character. I have learned a lot about defense. I have researched a lot, so I can't complain. Yeah, I might die on Trickster this league. This is insane. Do you mean like on this map? This map was wild, or do you just mean like in this league in general? So like with this setup, I have gone through the motions. I have. Oh, you don't have a pool of currency? What would I say to that? I would say if you don't have a lot of currency, this build has a high-ish entry cost. When I say high-ish, you're looking at an entry cost of like 10 divines. And that entry costs, I don't want to, you might still be in a spot where there are scenarios where they died because your AG's max might not be as high. So I'm not going to recommend this build in particular for you, but I do have a build you can run. I do have a build you can run, and that would be you can go for the Frost Bearers. That is what I league started. So that is what I played this league, to go from 0 to having currency, and then I started playing around with other builds like this one. So if you want to, if you don't have a lot of currency, I would recommend something like that, which works on a budget. Basically, if you use that, you get started. If you do want to try this out as your mapper, you can go ahead with it after you made your currency with the Frost Bearers. I already have videos on my YouTube channel with I have videos on my YouTube channel of the Frost Bearer, like the different budgets, low budget, medium budget, high budget. Everything is there. Low budget is basically like League Start, so that's what I was using League Start. You don't even have Rate Load on that setup. And Rate Load right now is like 30 chaos, 20 chaos. So at this point the prices are way lower, so you can actually make the medium. You can probably skip to medium-ish budget, I guess, for decently cheap. I think you can do that. I believe so. At this stage in the league, you should be able to. Everything should be cheap. So you can probably even just skip straight to the medium budgets and work from there. And then go into, if you want, you can go into high budget. If you want to just go for this one, you can save up for this one. But I do recommend going into that one's high budget, because that build's high budget can handle T17s. And T17s, if you can do T17s, you can make a good chunk of currency quick, so to say, depending on your strategy. T17s are really good for making money, is the TLDR. So going into the high budget means you can farm more efficiently, and being able to farm more efficiently means you gain more currency. And because you gain more currency, you can then build this character. And not only that, you then have a different character that you can fall back to just in case anything happens, you know. But yeah, that is, I think, the best advice I can give. And that one is actually tailored to newer players. Like I have a whole video for the crafting in case you don't find the items from the medium/high budgets, because some of the items are kind of niche, but it has a step-by-step. Like, look at this. You see how my health is going low? It's because those hits are not big enough to stun me. So that is the reason. The easy solution to that is just life on block. But life on block doesn't come easy. It comes at the cost of like minion survivability, minion of damage, and all of these things. But yeah, it might honestly just be the way forward, so you don't have to worry about. There might also be something else at play. Let me see. What other mods are in this map? I know I'm giving them phase as extra, but I don't think that should be enough to move my health as much as it is. There's increased minion damage. Okay. I think that's enough DD testing. I think without Defiance, I'm gonna die to DD. With Defiance, I do not. So do I care enough about DD to run Defiance in a T16? That is the question. Because if I'm going to run Defiance, I have less DPS. If I have less DPS, then I'm clearing slower. This is the real thing. I could also... Okay, let's switch. Let's switch. I hate dying. Then there is... What else? Do I leave the item rarity and accept the fact that I'm going to be clearing slower? Or do I just switch to fresh meats and embrace the clear? More maps per hour or more gold per map? I'll put in the fresh meats. And now I'm chilling. Now that should now even those things that were hitting me pretty hard because of Defiance of Destiny, it shouldn't be an issue anymore. And now because we aren't limiting ourselves to... Oh shit, what do you have? That was surprising. One more in this area. We have nothing I think would kill me. So what is going on here? Oh, I see. I took minus PDR. I took minus PDR. That's kind of what's going on.
When I'm ready and not
Spicy. Very spicy. But that's what I was saying about Defiance of Destiny and DD. I can live through it. Even with minus, does it do? Does DD do any physical damage, or is it just base fire? I feel like it's base fire. Yeah, I feel like it's base fire. Hmm. But yeah, I think today I'm gonna spend it a bit more chill. I'm not going to I've been spending a lot of my time lately thinking about what my next build is going to be, and I kind of don't want to do that anymore. So I'm gonna spend today just farming, basically. Because I've been trying to think of like what do I want my next build to be. How on earth is this killing me? I know we have increased monster damage and we have phase as extra code, but that shouldn't be enough to one-shot me. Unless I'm lowering my resistances, but even with lowered resistances, I'm past my rest cap. Yeah, I'm still, I mean, lightning maybe not, but like lightning I don't think is the issue here. But anyways, it doesn't matter. I'll just use Val Molten Shell here. The good thing is Val Molten Shell is not going to fall off until it pretty much expires. Oh, I didn't even know it was this Onyx. Flame Blast. Oh, you're trash. I should try to sell some of my maps soon. But yeah, overall, I think I'm quite satisfied with this build, where this build is at compared to where it was. So this weekend, I think I'll just make a video for it, and I'll probably start working on whatever my next build is going to be. For that one, I have no idea what it's going to be honest. I have thought about it. I do not know what I want it to be. I kind of have an idea of what I want it to be. And I feel like it's going to be off the box. Like it's going to be something that's, you know, I can't even think about right now, but I got genuinely excited yesterday when am I lagging? It's like that volatile core just acted very strangely. Very strange. Anyways, I kind of want it to be something along the lines of like something that hasn't A hasn't been done yet, or B something that scales with a stat. What do I mean? Ideally, it would be something like, let's say, I mean, even ES stacking is nice, right? A stacker of sorts that makes me defensive while scaling the minions' damage. The only thing that comes to mind, and I don't like the idea of it, is Flame Link. Because Flame Link scales off your it scales off your maximum life to give the person you're linked to flat fire damage. And that would be nice, but like, it's a link skill. And we can't automate link skills. I was also thinking of like charge stacker. A charge stacker of sorts, to where I would stack all sorts of charges and whatnot. The problem I have with that is what build really cares about charges to the point where it's fine with me taking off layers that would typically be used as damage to do that, right? It would have to be something that vastly benefits from like crits. And I was thinking, oh, if I'm going to go charge stacker, it might as well be like a Juggernaut, not a Juggernaut, a Chieftain rather, because a Chieftain has the, I want to say, added benefit of being able to have infinite Warcry power. Because then I compare that with Eternal Apple and give it like, give whatever skill it is really good flat crits with Battle Mage's Cry. That'd be the idea. Get Battle Mage's Cry, get good endurance charge, gen. And then have automated Battle Mage's Cry, so it's constantly critting with the power charges. But then the question then is, like I said, what the fuck would scale well enough with charges and or slash crits that would make that worth it? And the answer is, I don't know. It would have to be something that I can go with Chieftain and not sweat about its survivability. So if it's a Spectre, it has to be a tanky Spectre. If it's a Spectre, it might even have to be melee just so I can run. And I remember the name of this cry. It might have to be melee so that I can run Rallying Cry or something, or a banner, because this could easily work with banners. It could easily work with banners. And banners would be the easy way to banners would be the easy way to it would be the easy way to scale defenses on it or life on a non-necro for something that's squishy. Emphasis on something that's squishy. If it's not squishy, then you know, no need. But yeah, what am I gonna do? Eldritch Orb of Annulment. I will take you. I've actually gotten a decent chunk of Eldritch Orbs of Annulment since I started running strong boxes. And I feel like I'm going down the wrong path here. I almost are. Yes, I am. This is the boss. Thank you. Ooh, is this who I think it is? And who I think it is the League Mechanic boss. I think it is. It's the Starfall creator. Yep, it is. So this is what its single target looks like in a bossing environment, because you're not gonna have your full swords. This is also running a kind of suboptimal gems, because it's using fresh meat, and fresh meat is unideal for bossing environments. Efficacy is much better.
Brave this! I think you'll appreciate this one. Steel yourself, warrior. I'm finally starting to enjoy myself.
It has the ramp up time, which is not ideal for a single target. It has a ramp up time and a ramp up time within the ramp up time, because it goes poison. It goes poison, so it's change of command. Fun fact, this attack is something I have never eaten. I don't even know how much damage it does. I have never tried to find out how much damage it does. I'm just like, it's something I can easily dodge. I don't want to eat it. I got someone his sword, please. Thank you. One thing I'm going to do next time I run a T17 is I'm going to run it with my exact T16 tree, because I kind of like my T16 strats, and if I'm running T17, odds I'm using it to farm maps, so I might as well. This is a 24% quality imbued wand. Is your quality going for anything? No? Okay. In that case, destroy. I don't care. All right, where's my rejects? Let's get some more. Okay, we have 2 maps, but let's get some more maps. Okay, maps, 8 mods, toxic. Get all the unID'd ones out of the way, and oh no. Oh god. So every single map I picked up this afternoon without the corruption scarab is in here. Oh, fun stuff. Very fun. I have to play map transferring game now. We have another exclusive Ziggy interview out. Oh, we do? Okay, we'll check it out. Let me just play a bit of cleanup. Jungle Valley? Where's Jungle Valley? These two, okay. There isn't much cleanup there. Who else do we typically farm a lot of? We were doing Zig. We did, I think it was Jungle Valley and Residence. It's Residence. Okay, so just you. All right, get out of here. Okay, now to actually check. Where did I drop my maps just now? Where did I drop my maps? I had two. What am I doing? Don't tell me I dropped them in here. There is no way, right? Holy shit. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so you said Ziggy D interview, right? Let's see. What is this interview about? Oh, it's premiere. Has it started?
Character, or I'm like, oh, you know, I guess, oh well, you know, another thing will happen next time. But gold actually serves as effectively.
It started 24 minutes ago. Yeah, we'll start from the beginning. Is it just me or is it lagging? Okay. All right, let's see this Ziggy D interview. What are they gonna talk about?
When you make
I listened to just how I tried to see.
a new archetype like that, so
I mean, you can tell just how passionate he is, right? Like I hear him and I get confidence in PoE too.
new archetype like that, it often comes with new mechanics and melee mechanics when you add them. Like for example, when we added block, the way that worked, suddenly then require a bunch of monster work as well, because the monsters have to be able to deal with that. So they are hard to add.
I'm ready for it. I am ready for it. I'm expecting another, you know, half dozen to dozen full reiterations on every single monster and boss.
Redo every boss, please.
Yep.
Yeah, the you know, when those other classes are ready for prime time, yes,
Okay.
it'll come with another set of
Is this
boss
fine?
challenges and things that we have to do with that. But yeah, you really do need to do that to make the classes work. And look, this is even true for stuff that isn't melee, right? Like when we did all that stuff for summoners, that was also like a whole boss rework. So almost any class you add, it's like it's a whole boss rework again, because, you know, like if the class is unique enough to actually be different, then it implies that it's unique enough for it to be different with regard to what the boss has to do to respond to it as well.
Yeah.
So
It was the same with range, same with cast while moving, right? Like all of a sudden now every single ranged boss, as long as you're just moving, nothing will hit you. So change to AI, change to how some of the tracking works, change to projectile speeds, all kinds, everything, every single thing to do with the character class changes, and we have.
This
to
is the
do
king of the
rest.
mist in
You could argue
PO2.
there's an ideal world where it's like make all the character classes, then make the monsters, but they feed into each other. And so you do have to be making them in parallel, and you do have to pay the cost of when you change one thing, you're going to have to change everything else. And I suspect that is ultimately where a lot of games kind of maybe aren't willing to put in that grind. It is speculative, but I can see because it is a absolute ton of work. Like, it's crazy.
It makes it. I think.
Say Diablo 4 without saying Diablo 4.
Studio.
By the way, should we stream Diablo tomorrow? The PTR is coming out with all those changes, and it might be worth checking out just to see how it is.
Takes more risks. Like, we're more willing to make a fundamental change and then explore the repercussions of that. And that's true both for Path of Exile 2's development, where we've done this kind of stuff and it's had a lot of repercussions and honestly slowed down the release schedule. Like WASD certainly delayed like Path of Exile 2 for sure. But also in PoE 1 as well, where we're we make big changes and we sort of on some level have to see what happens and respond to that. But it makes for much more interesting releases, and we get all the time the question of, how do you release so much content? How do you make how are your expansions so big? And well, the answer is to that, we take risks. If you're not willing to take risks, then you will get a much smaller end result.
You have to be willing to redesign every boss again for the fifth time.
And it's pretty easy for a lot, not that we don't really have it here, but it's very easy for people to get lost in let's have 100 hours worth of meetings discussing this change before even committing to it, where we're just like, let's go, let's do it. Let's just see what happens.
Make a change, see what happens.
Oh, those frogs that I hate so much.
Plenty of things as well that we've made changes to, and then we've changed back to how PoE 1 did it. There's been all sorts of stuff like that as well. And it's funny as well. It's like you'll make a change that's to fix a PoE 1, a problem that PoE 1 had, and then you'll realize that the
fix has more problems.
Are worse than the problems that PoE 1's thing had, so we just change it back again. So that's happened more than a few times, that's a learning experience as well.
Of course, we have gone back to monsters giving flash charges. So
I really can't wait for PoE 2. I'm gonna be honest.
As PoE 1, but
so reduced for regular monsters.
Still does it.
Right. So the intention basically was that
we just have a few more months before PoE 2.
Right, there's two ways we can go with this. We were like, okay, we could solve the flask problem by removing town portals. It might seem a bit weird, but it's like effectively we were saying we could go that way, where it's like you're actually expected to conserve your flasks and use them sparingly, and then but you can't go back to towns, or rather if you do go back to town, you can't go back to exactly where you came back from. Or we
pretty
can
much
say, okay,
kind of just have to distract yourself.
That means that we are effectively saying that you shouldn't have to run out of flasks during regular gameplay, because that is not a reason. It doesn't feel good to just go to town.
What day is November 15?
Advantage to that gameplay.
Exactly. So effectively, we decided to go back to more what PoE 1 had, where the expectation is that if your flasks are correctly sized to your character, and your skills are not outrageously costed and things like that, if you're playing normally,
I should take the 18th off
generally, or at least it's very rare to do so. So generally,
the 15th and the 18th, I should take them off.
Trying to achieve is you don't have to go back to town just for flasks, except maybe once in a blue moon because of some special situation that might happen.
Yeah, so if you're obliterating your flasks, it's a sign that you're currently struggling.
Yes.
Something's going wrong. You need to evaluate.
Exactly.
There's one other pretty important axis there, which is that the number of checkpoints in an area is quite a lot higher than it used to be. So it was often that you'd enter the area, then there's one for the boss, and that's it. Now you're often probably getting 3, sometimes even more in an area, because it isn't really enjoyable. If maybe dying once and having to re-clear an area because you never got to the boss isn't too bad, but if you're the kind of player that dies a few times, it can get pretty taxing having to re-clear an entire area. So we've made sure there's a lot more checkpoints going on, which obviously gives you back all your flask charges as well, which is helping definitely a lot.
And generally speaking, there'll be about 3. And for example, if we've got any kind of multi-story areas, there'll generally be a checkpoint between each story. If we've got any time there's some kind of point of interest, we generally put a checkpoint there. Like if there's something to find or do there, you know, like we're making sure that generally speaking, any kind of quest objective that you're doing through the area, there'll be a checkpoint before and after, you know, each boss fight and things like that. Like there's a lot more of that because death is supposed to be something that actually happens to you in PoE 2, and so therefore we need to make the penalty for that like very low, like very minimal, compared to what we did in the past.
Yeah, we're going to kill you, but we're going to make it fun.
Yeah,
not
for
like
sure.
a,
You need to get back in the action very
not
quickly.
a massive groan. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, you know, the thing in the end as well that I think clinched it with the flasks is Chris said to me, the reason you should be going back to town is because you're excited to ID your items, not because you've run out of flask charges.
Good.
So
yeah.
that was
Makes sense.
That was the kind of moment of like,
Yeah,
all right,
you got to try these things,
yeah.
so that you can better understand what
Right.
it is that makes
For
it
sure.
important. Well, talking on
I mean, that
challenges
makes
you're
sense.
experimenting with, you mentioned that you think that maybe leveling skills isn't what you should do normally, like through XP.
Yes, so we've changed now the system. I'm actually really happy with this change. So there was always this thing in PoE 1 where the question would always come up, oh, like, why do I have to manually level my skills? And there were reasons for that, which obviously don't matter anymore. But effectively, the question we should have been asking was not so much like having to defend like why that was needed or talking about whether or not we need auto-leveling, all that sort of stuff. What we should have been asking is, well, why, if leveling a skill, if this is being asked, that would imply that leveling a skill was not fun. And if leveling a skill isn't fun, what should we be doing to make leveling a skill fun? And then I asked myself, I went right back to D2 and I was like, well, why was getting a skill point in D2 like a good experience and feeling like that maddening, like, oh yeah, and there's another skill point, I'm going to allocate it, you know, like why was that fun? And the answer was simply that there was choice. So we realized that like getting skill levels needs to be a thing that has choice involved in it. So what we decided to do was make it so that we already had the system of uncut skill gems where when you find a, you don't just find a random skill gem or even get offered them as quest rewards in the same way anymore. You have an uncut skill that lets you pick what skill you get. And so you've got a more traditional looking skill screen there. And we already had an issue of like, well, what do I do with extra?
This area looks kind of nice. I like it.
And it turns out
it reminds me of the it kind of reminds me of the tower in Act 3.
It is actually
Dominus's tower.
So that, using an uncut skill gem,
The Tower of God,
will level up an existing skill to that tier, you know, to that level. Was a change that meant that suddenly you open the skill screen like, do I pick a new skill? Do I level up an old skill? You know, like it also means that getting more uncut skill gems, like you get more of those things. It feels more important. Like getting a skill.
I can't wait for all the uncut skill gem farm strategies that are gonna come out on this Saturday.
Content to get level 20 uncut gems to be able to level.
How to get level 20 uncut gems?
Thing. It's made the whole thing way more fun in my opinion. But the other thing it also does, which I think was not something I expected before we did it, but then I realized after we.
But does that mean there's no like level 21?
Having like you now have
outside of items, I mean,
where some skills are under-leveled and some skills can be over-leveled, and it's like you have to like think about, okay, like, you know, what skill do I want to do this, like what skill can I kind of let lag behind a little bit, and what skill you know, and how long do I let it go before I need to catch this thing up, like due to the fact that certain combos and like you know, skills that damn it, I forgot the name of the skill again, the one we respond to a stunned enemy.
Bone Shatter.
Yeah, Bone Shatter, damn it. Because Bone Shatter does a lot of damage when you land it, you actually don't necessarily need to level that one up because you're already kind of overkilling stuff with it a lot of the time. So like, oh, I can actually let that one languish. I actually want to be increasing, you know, my double slam. And then now, once Bone Shatter is like 3 levels out of date, you're like, man, now I need to level that up. So like, there's actually quite a lot of things. And so it actually made it much more interesting, that leveling up process. And it actually allowed us also to change where the new skills were coming in a little bit, because there was a lot more interest around which ones you're leveling up. And it even, I think, there was some interest around, you know, the support gems as well, and how that interacts with the whole thing. So, yeah, I'm very happy with this change. And to me, it was like, it felt like we, out of nowhere and very easily, suddenly had a whole character progression system out of nowhere that we previously didn't have before somehow. And as soon as we did it, yeah, it was just a great change.
That was just like, the game's now just 50% better.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere. It was like, where did this even come from?
50% more multiplayer.
We never even thought about changing, you know, like how gems level up. And this is why it's
Taken
been
for granted.
so important to question all of the fundamentals.
Right. And it's funny because the actual work to do that change is like so minor, and yet like it just had such a big impact.
Oh yeah, I just got all this bonus game for free.
Yeah,
That cost me nothing to do.
It did have one ramification that we had to account for, which comes into play with all the like random things you're finding throughout the world, which is that because leveling up gems is then RNG based, you could get extremely unlucky.
Yep.
All of a sudden, your gems are way under leveled. So that's where a lot of all those special features are giving
like hard-coded drops,
hard-coded skills, uncut gems.
That rare monster hiding in a house somewhere that will always give you an uncut gem.
Exactly.
So those are there to ensure your baseline.
Exactly.
With this skills system as well.
Yeah. So
the other cool thing is it can skip. So like if you fight, so let's say it is a very under-leveled, and you got a tier 4 skill, and you want to you're at the point where you're finding say tier 8 skills. If you use a tier 8 gem, you can level it from 4 straight to 8. So it doesn't have to go 4, then to 5, then to 6, then to 7 every
big
time.
Satisfying power spikes.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is that initially when we were talking about this, there was the concern about it with the somber smithing stones or whatever from
Elden Ring.
Like that was like a whole thing where like sometimes you'd have annoying situations where you wouldn't have one of the ones in the progression up because of the fact you can skip all the way up. It actually means that it's fine. Like as soon as you find a high level one, you just go straight there.
I can't go to level 10 because I don't have a level 7.
Right, exactly. So you don't have that kind of problem. You just go straight up, and so that
yeah, the smithing stones are kind of annoying. I'm gonna be real honest.
I
think I just held off on upgrading a lot of items because of them.
Incredible change, like out of nowhere as well. I was just like, oh my god,
yeah,
this
you guys
game
sound keen on it. I need to try it out.
Evolved everything. I was like, holy.
I need to try this out. Do you feel like it had the same impact on support gems? That's doing that too.
Well, the thing with support gems that so support gems don't have levels in PoE 2.
Oh, really?
So they don't do that. So the thing with the support gems, of course, is the way that we have that recommendation system, and that I think has been a bit of a game changer.
So how do you strengthen a support gem?
You have seen a bit of it, but you haven't had as much of it as you should have because now there's a lot more support gems working. There's a lot more of them. Like there was a pretty minimal number in the build that you were playing. The build we have now, obviously we're starting to fill that out. The goal is to have the other interesting thing with the recommendation system as well that I didn't expect is that because we're forced to find 9 recommendations that are actually good for every skill,
you have to make sure
we actually have to make sure that they exist, right? And so that means that that it's actually forced us to do a lot more innovation with regard to what support gems exist as well. And then,
since
that was
each support gem is unique.
Another change that was made, which is in the build that you're doing, is that you and this is actually one that I think will probably sound controversial to PoE 1 players, but is actually really important. Is the one support? You can only have one of each support gem type on your entire character.
Yeah, we knew this.
Yeah. So if you have GMP, then
you can't have GMP
on that. Go on any others.
Yeah.
There's still LMP, of course, so you can still have 2 multiple projectiles things. And then of course there's all the other various things like pierce and chain and all those other things. So it's not like you don't have the ability to to multiply your projectise in other ways.
It's which skill you're making the one that shoots lots of arrows,
and that results in all sorts of interesting questions about there's all sorts of build choices there. Like it actually opened up a huge amount of questions about like what does this go on? Was it best on that? I think was a really huge change as well.
We've got enough support gems now probably to mess around with an idea like this.
But the funny thing as well about it was that before we did that change, we were actually having a hell of a time designing support gems for PoE 2. And the reason is because there are so many slots on your character for support gems to go on, so you've got so many skills. We had this philosophy is we don't just want you to take GMP and put it on everything. We don't just want you to take so every single support gem we were trying to say okay, how can we design this so you only put it on 1 or 2 skills? And it was actually handcuffing us. And in that first LA build,
I think I've heard him talk about this before.
It felt so crappy. Was because all that design constraint was really preventing us from making the support gems interesting. Like you never felt like you put a support gem and felt more powerful. And the reason why is because the design was always like, oh, well, if we make a support gem that you just put it on and you get like 30% damage, then it means that you're just going to put it on every skill. And so then at some point we were like, well, hang on, if our design goal is that you only use each support gem once per character, then why don't we just add that restriction as an actual just like hard-coded thing? And then all of a sudden we're like, well, shit, now support gems can just make your character 20-30% better. Not your character, but that skill 20-30% better. And we can also reintroduce a ton of PoE 1 supports that are like fan favorites again, just like put them all in there, and they all just work again and under the system. We can have just like melee physical damage and stuff like that. It's like you only get to put it on one skill, so you have to pick like what is the one that's going to get that. And all of that stuff now becomes viable, and so it suddenly just opened up a huge amount of stuff, and even other stuff that we wouldn't have even been able to do in PoE 1 suddenly works as well.
I'm really hoping, this is something I'm really hoping for, but I'm really, really hoping we have some actual like skill altering support gems. Like, let's say, you know how different SRS is as a skill to playing popcorn SRS, for example. You allocate what's the name of that node again? I know exactly where it is, I just don't remember the name right now. Let's go find it, I guess. Minion instability, that's the one. Ironically, I kind of remembered it on my way to the node. Anyways, so let's say something like that, but in a support gem where it fundamentally changes the way you use the gem. For example, if let's say this is you use someone's skeleton, it's someone's skeleton, but then you input this support gem, and all of a sudden your skeletons merge into like, let's say 2 to 1. So they go from from like 6 skeletons to 3, but then those 3 skeletons are now using like a 2-handed mace, and their basic attack becomes like huge slams or something. Like support gems that actually fundamentally change the skill. That would be nice. I don't know that they would go for stuff like that, but like that would be a very interesting concept. Like the same way we have some keystones and gems and unique jewels that kind of do some stuff like that here and there in PoE 1, that kind of use those ideas for support gems, because everybody's exposed to the support gems. Everybody knows what they are. It's also a way to introduce like those jewels in PoE 1 without having the bloat of having a million different jewels, So like, just it's an idea, right? I would find that very interesting personally.
So, yeah, it's like it's suddenly opened up a huge amount of that stuff, and so we're having a lot of fun right now, designing a lot more supports. Trying to come up with things that will work for those really hard to support skills. That can be a thing as well. So that's been a huge amount of fun and a lot more interesting design coming out too.
Sounds like a good case for when limitation can actually make something more interesting.
Absolutely, and once again, hard decision to make. We're so worried about having artificial restrictions, because like people hate artificial feeling restrictions. Yep. But in this case, it's one that has worked really well.
Excellent. Again, 10 out of 10 change. 100%. Just made everything so much better, and is going to result in the support gems being so much more interesting and meaningful as a result. For sure, it's already heading in that direction.
It sounds like you've taken a bit of a windy road here with Path of Exile 2's skill system.
Does that ice stain taunt them?
Doing with it here, and it sounds like you're kind of starting to really home in on.
I think so.
What feels really good. You guys both seem very enthusiastic about both those changes.
For sure. For sure. I mean, there's another one. It's funny, like
that's an interesting shape
recently as well, because requirements for support gems have always been a tricky one. Like requirements in PoE 1 have effectively not mattered very much for a very long time, and we kind of wanted them to matter. So the way that support gem requirements work now, not in the build you're playing, but the way they work now is that when you add a support gem, it adds +5 attributes of the color of that support gem globally to your character. If you want to put a green support gem on, you'll just need 5 more decks than what you have right now. You'll just need 5 more decks to do it. And so what that means is that you're always 1 passive point away from being able to equip whatever color of support gem that you want. Right. But then at the same time, if you do want to have a strength character that's full of green gems, you are going to need a very significant amount of decks to be able to do that, because every time you get. But still, it's always the case that you're always just one passive point away from doing it. And so that's actually been a game changer as well, as far as the feeling of being able to progress and the feeling of being able to use like the type of support gems you want to use, while still kind of having that more global requirement of like, okay, if you actually just want to trick yourself out with green gems, you're going to have to be a Dex character to be able to do that. I really like that change as well, and it's something that has really improved.
I still don't know how the attribute things works with the current tree.
Requirements do something interesting.
I have no idea.
And with the changes to stats, it sounds like a trade-off.
Because like if it's one passive point away, is there a separate?
Losing 5 strength is 15.
Is there like a separate tree that has the attributes, and then you just have a certain amount of passive points there, or is it like a tree that is on your Atlas passive? Not Atlas, that's on your passive skill tree that you always have access to, let's say from your starting location. It's just, do you put it there or do you put it in the actual skill tree for your weapons and whatnot? I'm very curious as to how they approach that, or what they did in that regard.
Life.
Yep, absolutely.
Attributes on gear become a lot better when all of a sudden your 15 dexterity on your ring equals I can now use 3 more support gems. It makes it way more understandable for users who are like, I need to be able to equip this. Again, it's the same thing I was saying earlier about the life or difficulty. You want things to be one level away to get an incremental improvement.
Yeah,
exactly. And if it's like, I need an extra 40 dex to use this, and you're like, oh, sweet, 8 more levels to go, and then I can finally do this. It's so demoralizing, and you don't feel excited about that thing anymore. And by the time you get there, you're not even like, feeling so satisfied.
It sounds like that can make even small passives feel like they do something in that case as well when you're doing that.
We've really tried to make the attributes now like solve your problems. So if you don't have enough mana, it's not like I have to travel. I don't have to wait 8 levels of traveling through the tree to get to some mana. It's like the next level I can get more impactful mana. The next level I can get more impactful life, like using strength and intelligence as those 2 things. It's very important you can immediately solve your problem, as opposed to like, I'm going to solve it in 8 levels, because which is again the PoE 1 situation where you can certainly be like, I need
that
more
makes
life.
sense.
And it isn't always available for you to just upgrade your gear immediately. That takes farming and time and whatnot. And so if you can't just immediately get more life, or more defense or more whatever, it can feel very, very bad, and it can actually cause people to lose interest and stop playing like quite quickly, because they feel like there's nothing they can do.
And in addition to that, because now we have the ability to any attribute node can be strength, it means that anyone at any time can solve that kind of problem immediately.
So that's how they did it. So there are attribute travel nodes, but they are any attributes, so you get to pick what attribute it is. That makes sense. And from the shape of this, it looks like you always have access to another travel node right beside you, because like, even if let's say you path all the way here and you're filling this out, if you for some reason you decide you need more attributes, you can go here, or like there is no one node that feeds into pass into these actual nodes that doesn't have a travel node near it or branching off of it. So I think that is how they choose to address it,
because we buffed that as well. I don't remember the number now, but effectively it's like these 2 problems are now solvable for you immediately. And then the same is true with accuracy. If you do, accuracy has been changed to be a thing that matters much more for range, but if you do have an ability to hit monsters, you can immediately solve that problem in your next level without having to travel somewhere else, like find it on the tree.
Unless you've been having the issue for a while.
Fundamental things that you need to be able to solve about your character at any time, and if you don't solve them right now, then it sucks. So that's what the attributes are good for that, and the new system of being able to pick the attributes is good for that. So just as a random QL feature that we did in advance, you can swap them without having to respec all the way back there. Like you can swap which attribute they are. So that's actually really handy. It's actually
that's really good.
When you're reconfiguring what supports you're using to be able to change those out.
Does that cost a respec?
It costs a bit of gold, but the cost of it is cheaper than a respec of changing a node. So that means that
it's a bit more flexible. That is.
Yeah.
That's handy.
You know, since the first time you played as well, I don't know if you noticed the item game was quite different than what we had on that first on that first LA demo we did. So you should have been getting a lot more items generally. You know, a lot more opportunities, currency for sure. Yeah, we made quite substantial changes. There's a lot more gold as well, which allows you to buy things from the vendor. You know, we made things sell for more. We made prices cheaper. Like we did like a lot of things around, and the gold thing in particular was pretty good because. Gold is a good way for solving problems. So to broaden the scope of this bit a little bit, some games have what you might call like smart drops and so on, where they like drop stuff for your character. But we've always been really against that because like to us it feels really bad, the idea that you know, like if I'm playing this character, that means I can't find stuff for other characters. And also there's this kind of concept of the near miss of like, oh, a bow drop, but I'm not a bow user, and it's like either I can like, you know, use that on a different character, or I'm like, oh, you know, I guess, oh well, you know, another thing will happen next time. But gold actually serves as effectively like smart drops in a way, because it allows you to buy what you want from the shop. So if we increase the proportion, we can effectively tweak the degree to which you can pick what your drops are versus not by changing the relative ratio of gold to regular drops in the economy. And effectively, we increased the ratio a little bit more towards gold than what we had initially in the first LA demo we did. And that has meant now that you can solve your problems more easily by buying things from the shop and this like fix the issues that you have.
That creates like
that makes sense.
Safety net, like a baseline for what you can expect players to have access to.
That was absolutely an issue we had where we're already a game that has a crazy degree between the bottom and the top as far as like player skill goes, and like all these other things, like just RNG even. So by having that gold safety net, it means that you can fix your own problems. It sort of brings up the minimum without increasing the maximum very much.
Okay, we have 12 minutes left.
Very good.
Yeah, even quest rewards, we added gold to a number of quest rewards as well.
Finally, WASD. Oh, you've wanted it in PoE for a while. I'm looking forward to seeing how it feels. As a PoE 1 player, it's kind of hard to imagine WASD with the current gameplay. But if you're not using your mouse to move, if you're not using your mouse to move, it's like, how are you pressing abilities with WASD? But it sounds like everybody that has played with WASD has preferred WASD. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they did to make it feel as good as it supposedly does.
Certainly, it helps a lot.
And then the other thing we did as well, which is a lot more subtle and players may not even notice, is that we have a lot of hard-coded drops through the campaign that you can just sort of find as you go through. So there's just all these little side things, like, you know, like specific chests that you'll find that will drop, like, you know, oh, here's an extra place that drops an uncut support gem. You know, there's a really subtle one in Red Veil where we make sure that we drop the chests. There's like these chests of weapons that fall apart, and we make sure that at least one T2 white base of every weapon type drops in that area somewhere. So as you're just exploring that zone, you will definitely find something to replace your weapon with, and then you can usually, you know, use currency on it to improve it and so on as well. So like we're just kind of making sure that that minimum is
but that's smart.
Things like, you know, there's like a white ring that drops in the graveyard. There's like a special grave that you can open up, and there's like, you know, I think there's like some lore object there about, oh, you know, like I buried the wedding ring of my, you know, like ancestor here. It's like, oh, well, like, let's steal that. You know, so, that's the
lol.
Perfect grave robbing jewelry.
Exactly. You know, we've got little things like there was a
path of grave robbing.
I don't know if when you were playing through you found the secret lever you can pull that opens like a little tomb thing that opens up. There's like a bunch of gold down there, things like that.
I'm gonna try and find that.
Yeah. There's all sorts of just cool little things that we've added through the game to once again, if you're like racing through, you're probably not going to get that stuff, but then also you're probably a better player. But if you're a player who is you know, taking your time, you're going through, you're a first time player, you're going to find more of that stuff that kind of serves as almost a catch up mechanic to kind of give you the items you would need to be able to do a bit better. So the idea
wait until the
is,
racers get their hands on it.
We give you a reward,
and it becomes a part of the meta to go through that area.
Exploration, and you know, if you having trouble with a boss, we want it to be the case that, okay, well, if I just explore the area, I'm going to find some extra things that are going to help me to be able to progress with that.
So not only have you got these big like flagship like zone bosses that drop like a specific permanent character buff, but now you've also got scattered throughout the zone hidden chests, little secret Easter eggs, even things you're hiding from each other, it seems, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I know there was that quest that Mark added that I came across something. I was like, what the hell? Like, where did this come from?
I added a thing where some monsters, without spoiling it too much, but there's a kind of type of monster and they drop half an amulet, and then there's another type of monster later in the act that drops another half of a medallion, and then you can like if you put those two pieces in, you then get like a quest reward bonus where you get to pick either, you know, representing one monster or the other, and you get that's a permanent bonus for your character. But like when people first got it,
bandits.
like, what is this half medallion for?
I just wasn't expecting to see something in my own game that I hadn't heard about before.
Just a hidden quest you had no idea about.
Exactly.
It's fun.
Yeah, for
They're
sure.
fun. I mean, that was me testing the waters of like having something quite secret, and it's pretty rare, you know, to drop things in an area that are used in another area. Like in PoE, that's like pretty. I mean, you have obviously the core campaign quest items that carry through. That's fine, but like kind of secondary random objects like that, it's very rare to see that. And so I kind of wanted to gauge people's reactions on like maybe we'll try adding some of that and kind of see how it feels. It adds a whole bunch of flavor and depth to the world in some regards. So
I mean, it makes sense.
It seemed to have a pretty positive response so far, and I'm looking forward to adding more random stuff that Jonathan can find without knowing about it.
The other one that I've been
it can
really
be a
enjoying
double-edged sword, pretty much.
The specific rares that we've been putting in. So that's been a fun one. So in some cases, we had extra,
for example,
monsters lying around that we were like, hey, we could just like use this as a.
Why is it not pausing? For example, if let's say you're clearing zone A and you find half of the medallion, and you have no idea what it does, and it doesn't outrightly tell you that, oh, quest item somewhere or something, you know, and then you go through the zone B, which should have the other thing, but it's actually possible to miss the thing that drops the other half. Then you have a situation where I'm just carrying this half of a medallion throughout the entire game because I have absolutely no idea what I'm supposed to do with it, but I don't want to toss it because it could be important. Or I just Google what the fuck this is and, you know, instantly gets, oh, this is from this. You know, it kind of ruins the intent of, I guess, what the devs wanted. But that is the risk you have to take when you're putting things in different zones, because to this day, going through PoE 1 campaign, there are multiple times where I would keep a quest objective for like multiple acts because I'm just going and I forget to turn it in. And this is me knowing every single thing I need to do to get all my side quest points, and I would still have something. I'm like, I probably should go turn this in, probably. And half the time I know the act it's from, but I don't know who it's from. So I'm just going talking around different NPCs until it disappears, pretty much, or I get a reward.
An extra little rare encounter. We
But that's just a risk you have to be okay with.
You know, like unique now, you know, the standard for what a unique
as a dev
boss is in PoE 2 is obviously like way more ridiculous than what it was in PoE 1. So like you'd have just like in PoE 1 you'd have a unique that was like, I don't know, what was that guy who was in the crossroads? Like I don't know.
He's in Southern Forest now. He moved camps, but he's just like I can't remember, call up the head
6
staver or something.
Yeah,
and he's like,
it's just like
I've got heavy strike. Yeah, like that's his whole thing.
Yeah, that was the standard of unique in the campaign in PoE 1, and now it's like some giant multi-phase, like you know, crazy boss. But it's still fun to have those like sort of little encounters.
Are those alteration orbs?
A specific guy, and so you know, like there's that one in the forest, which is that witch monster, and what we actually did for that one is we just took a monster that made thematic sense from Act 5, and we moved it early and then had it as a rare encounter, and that's like kind of a fun thing. There was like that there's like that little like treant summoning thing going on, and
yeah, it's like a Stonehenge looking thing, and later in Act 1 you get a few like treant things that are summoning a big thing, and it's actually again just another later acts monster brought earlier with some recolor, like a slight adjustment to the skills.
Yeah, there's that like ghost guy in one of the crypts.
It's just like there's like a rare chest, and there's just like a ghost in front of it. He's just hanging out, and when you run into the ghost, he kind of like does something, it releases a shockwave, and it revives a whole bunch of monsters around you, and like
cool.
damn, this freaking chest was a trap.
Once again, that was another thing I didn't know about until I ran into it.
What is this unique bow? Oh, that's just a cool rain. It just has the attack speed and less AD. Okay.
That was a fun one. Yeah, there's like we've got, so we're trying to make sure that every.
I feel like cool rain isn't as
at least 2 or 3.
Doesn't have that amount of attack speed in PoE 1.
You can find in it.
No, it has more. I think it's like three per second on PoE 1.
Could be monsters, could be like, you know, or it could be a unique boss that's like a whole thing. You know, like you don't know what you might find. You know, and that honestly is some of the funnest stuff to design. And it's actually like, it's funny because it's like, you can actually lose sight of that stuff when you're, you know, doing the whole giant content schedule of like making areas and like bosses and so on. And then like this stuff doesn't even really, like, relative to the rest of the game, it's so fast to make, and yet it's like the fun stuff that I think people remember, and like and you know, like it really has a lot of life to the world. So it would be a shame if we didn't, you know, have the time to be able to do that stuff. Like, it really is cool. You know, like, just like, yeah, little, oh look, there's this little secret entrance here, and you know, what's that?
It's partly kind of even what's happening with the campaign improvements in PoE 1.
Yes.
They're the same kind of drive or motivation for that. It's
and that stuff, like, you know, it's interesting because it's actually hard to know like how that stuff is being received by the player base, because it's not often mentioned. It's not, I mean, like
a lot of them I just ignore it.
Yeah, it's not like a title grabbing thing,
right,
but it is a thing that feels good and is exciting and makes things more interesting.
Yeah, so sure. I mean, I think we add like we're trying to add like sort of 20 to 30 of those with each. You know, just little details like that with each thing. But like ideally, you know, PoE 2 is just filled with that stuff already. You know, just like lots of
The hopeful is to release with, you know, without having to then do it over many leagues like we are for PoE 1. You can just release PoE 2 with all of that in place. And I mean, sure, you can always add more later and evolve stuff because eventually you might want to. Like, more world building is always great, but at least there's enough there.
I wonder if this is the delirium
really
thing.
To be that, like, every time you play through,
the delirium thing that chases you,
you might find something different in a certain act because you just happen to miss it the first time. I mean, unless you're being ultra thorough and like full clearing every single area with like exact precision and taking your sweet time, in which case, good on you. But like, a lot of characters might just miss certain points of interest and they find it the next time. And
we can even do some of them. We can even do some of them as not always spawning. Like, I know in the in Act 2, there was those 2 different. We've got like a couple of different of those the crazy statue rooms. And there's like different ones for that.
So as long as you have the deterministic outcome, if there is one, the reward bound to both or to many, or there's some way to do that. Ideally you'd have it that you'd actually generate different ones as you play through as well. So
improving kind of the experience of multiple campaign playthroughs here as well, for different characters playing out differently, but even the same character playing out different.
Right. I mean, I don't know if you've I might have talked to you about this before, but with regard to multiple campaign playthroughs, like the world map in PoE 2 is a random map, and it can have a different layout between different leagues. So like the overall layout of the whole act changes around, and that can actually change, like, you know, what stuff you can find in it as well. So
that is wild.
Idea of, like, the you know, each time you play that campaign, it does feel like there's something new and different.
No, that is actually wild. It's a cool idea, you know, but that's wild.
With the stuff we've got going on in PoE 2, we can now sort of do, like, you know, much better than what we did in PoE 1.
You're both increasing like the randomness through that system, but also much more handcrafted content as well through these like random rare monsters and unique monsters and little chests that are scattered around that are done maybe sometimes randomly as well. It's
sort of funny because we, I think, use procedural generation differently than what I think a lot of like different games do. Like, when a lot of players hear procedural generation, what they're kind of imagining is like an infinite amount of bad kind of like mediocre content. But for us, procedural generation is making, you know, like we handcraft lots of little things, and you can find, like, you know that they're going to be in areas, but like the procedural generation is a way to make it so that we can create levels quickly while still handcrafting everything about them that makes them unique, and also that every time you play through the area it feels a bit different enough so that you know, there's still some surprises.
Quick notes. Can we take a moment to appreciate just how wide the ritual area is on like PoE 1, where you're literally in a fucking can? Like, it feels like you're in a tin and you're just trying to survive when there's nowhere to move. Like, this is actually a good radius to have.
even if those surprises are handcrafted things, like what you run into just is going to be different. Like
look at this.
Yeah, that's a very different thing, I think, than what a lot of other procedural generation games
also
do.
You're not getting
like
as swarmed as PoE 1.
A lot of other.
And it seems like they're spawning in waves.
That's a very different thing, I think.
Because this Devourer wasn't there earlier. Or Burrower, I guess, is the name of the mob in this one.
Kind of system for giving loot to the player, or tools or gear or uncut gems or whatever it is that you need to give the player to ensure kind of like a minimum quality of their playthrough, is getting smarter. Like you have the ability now to... You're mentioning things like if players don't get this, then later on they'll get something else. Or
yeah,
more.
so we actually have what we call like second chances for certain things. So if you didn't run into this particular chest that gave you an extra skill gem in in the second area, then that means that when in the third area, when you find the like witch's cottage, for example, then that's going to drop that extra skill gem instead. And so
oh really?
By doing second chances for some of the stuff,
that is actually so smart.
Try to make sure that because all that stuff is just still randomly run into.
Now this I can appreciate, because there was one thing on my mind when he was talking about, you explore, you find this, you're stronger, but then you can get unlucky and not find it. And all this, I'm like, okay, that's cool, and these are all things that you can find in let's say that one area he was talking about. But what if you are me and you would rather die than click a chest intentionally? Then what happens? Because I can't imagine picking chest. Now PoE could be different. If it's a big shiny chest trying to get your attention, I'll click it. But if it's like this chest we have on the side in PoE 1, why the hell am I touching it? But if there are like checks to see, you didn't find it, all right, give it to him here. It gives you more opportunities and hopefully less more obvious areas, or more obvious, I guess, interactables, I should say, to get it. Then that's brilliant.
That we can still get that sort of minimum playthrough, and we're not going to make it so it's like, that thing's going to follow you through the whole game or something like that. But we do want to make sure that at least there's 2 chances at everything, so that even if you don't run into it, you still got you still have a reasonably good experience.
That's a good video. It's a really good interview. I assume it's done, and I don't like it. Okay. All right. I was gonna ask why am I looking at my passive tree, and I remember that I opened it to look for Mion's ability. All right, let's run some maps. Overall, that was a good video. I can't wait for PoE 2. I'll be real. Like I watch everything I watch about it. Increases my hype for it. Every single interview, or just every single interview, or any bit of gameplay footage or opinion from like the people who went to Gamescom and yada yada. Every single thing I see about PoE 2 just makes me want to play it even more. Like genuinely. Oh, something's in my eye. But yeah.
When I'm ready, and not before.
It should be pretty fun once it comes out. We only have what, 2.5 months left. So, in time. We're gonna play it. You're done with Amber. Actually, I like how many T17 maps I drop with this strategy, I'll be honest. That's part of the reason I kind of didn't want to run it in T17s. Because T17 maps end up being a good chunk of the strat. So unless I were to remove maps as a whole from the... If I were to remove maps as a whole from the strategy, then of course it works, but I don't want to do that because I also want corrupted maps that I can run. Right now, I only have like my next 5 maps as an example. One thing I also noticed is harvests. Harvest is getting more... Speak of the devil. Harvest is becoming more and more expensive. Like, I don't know what is going on with it. That is a node I probably shouldn't have taken, but I will take it nevertheless. Why? Because I want all the points I can take. It might kill me. This is a node I shouldn't take. Because the reward is not even... Wait a second. I realized I didn't look at the other one. Yeah, it's a good video. One thing I will say about the T17 scare up strats, it's very satisfying seeing you know, the big tinks, the... Oh no. We don't do flame blasts that has charged this much, okay? It is risky. Flame blast can easily, and I mean very easily, have pen. At least if it's at Zeri's flame blast, it has pen. I'm not gonna put my AG through pen. All right, it is not happening. What is the best farm I can think of for Chaos Orbs? Harbingers obviously comes to mind. I'm currently looking at potentially farming Exarch with influencing Scarab of Hordes. That is kind of looking like something I want to do more and more as I play. I'm also thinking, is this something I want to do? What do I want to pair it with? You know, stuff like that. I could, nah. I was gonna say I could pair it with like div card farming, but the problem with pairing it with div card farming is div card farming scales, I guess, exponentially better with each extra of the same scarab you put. So each one kind of, what's what I'm looking for here. Each one provides more of a benefit than the last. So that's the problem we're trying to do with div card, not div card, stack deck farming rather. But I mean, it's still div card, but like, I want to be specific here. I was wondering why my minions were using so many hits to do damage here. It's because of plus chaos res. There's plus chaos res here. There's also plus.
When I'm ready and not before.
Also, one thing I have come to kind of, I won't say painfully, but come to realize is just how much, like, I always thought, you know, physical damage reduction. Okay, wait, never mind. Now that I think about it, actually doesn't matter. Because I was thinking PDR doesn't affect me, but then I've run some maps today during the whole T17 phase where these maps just felt like my explode wasn't doing as much damage. But then I also just remembered at the, like, almost simultaneously that we had this conversation before, or at least I've had this conversation with someone, and I think they said that it was on stream too. They said it was the explosion would convert, since it's physical damage, it would convert to, it will inherit the conversion that the AG would have in this case. So basically the explode is now chaos damage meeting the increased chaos res, something like that. Dark Ziggurats. Interesting name for a map. That is minus PDR. Spicy. That's triple DD boxes, right? Wait, what? The insane cards? I just got 12 and 9 of a mage blood. Where is it? 20 divines. Easy. But that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Yo, did you see that? The game just tried to kill me. The mapping seems like a lot of fun. For this builder, it is. It's insanely comfortable. I love it. Like you... Bruh, what I don't love is tornadoes. But yeah, it's very comfortable. Is there a rogue exile that is annoying me? It looks like there is. Yeah, there is. Because I'm like, where are all these lightning strikes coming from? A. And B... the same thing for the ball lightning. But yeah, like I have 6 minions right now. All I have to do is walk around. They'll kill. And now I have 14. And all I do is run around and, you know, they keep increasing. We just got a nameless seer. Also, these tornadoes, they are not chains of command friendly at all. Though I think, like I said, if I had to scale minion block a bit, a lot of these issues would become less of an issue. There's a part of me that almost wants to restructure my entire tree just to accommodate for mechanics like, is there anything here that's good? I'll just go for this one. It seems like maybe it'll be worth the most. Yo, lightning? Is this zombie of slamming? What do you mean? Like, is the build I'm playing? zombie or slamming. No, it's not. It's chains of command. That's where we're getting ours. We can't use zombies in this build. We can't use any other minion except like AG and animated weapons. Yeah. Do I just save up for the mage blood? So this is easy 40 divines right here. How much is a mage blood? Because if this is if this is like 1/9 of a mage blood, let me just do the math real quick. Where's my calculator? A mage blood is currently going for I'm gonna go with like 110. No, this is not. Mage bloods are currently going for 252 divines. Okay. 1/9 is this times 252. It's 28. So this card should be worth 28 divines to roughly approximate how much the mage bloods are going for right now. So selling this for like 21 divines it's actually shooting myself in the foot in the long run, so to say. Because in theory, if I saved up and I just bought 7 more of these cards, I could buy a mage blood, sell that mage blood, and then get another 9, sell it, and then keep printing money that way. So we're not gonna list it like that. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. It seems like a waste of money. Let me see. Cats. Divination cards. The insane cats, that's the one. It's going for 20 divines? Am I bugging? Oh, it's a corrupted mage blood. Oh. Even still. Because even if it's corrupted, you can still, can you not just do this? It's corrupted, right? Can you not just use a tainted divine teardrop on it? I mean, granted, there are 5 divines. There are 5 divines. So if you get one that is badly rolled and you use a tainted divine, that takes your cost from 21 divines per card to about, or let's say, let's just do the multiplication, right? $21 divine per card times 9. It takes it from 109 to, let's say, 194. Right? The mage blood is still, it's still 248, 250 divines. This is still easy, like 50 divine profit if you hit it first time. even if you to not make a profit, you would have to miss the 1 in 3 chance. How many times? 10 times would be 50 divine, well, 53 divines, right? That would be 10. That's 10 tries with a divine teardrop, and that would put you at 244, which is still slightly profitable. And you're not gonna, well, I won't say you're not, because RNG is RNG, but odds are you are not going to miss it. Does that make sense? It's like you're still printing currency. Like even with this price for the divine teardrop. Oh wait, never mind. This says rare. Okay, you can't reroll it. Okay. So you cannot reroll it because that says rare. So it does nothing to a mage blood. So a 2 is going for a 90. Oh, Kanemi, you're asking why this is expensive? The reason this is expensive, or the mage blood is, yeah, it's a gamba, because I was going with the mindset that you could reroll it, but you can't because teardrops are specifically for rare items, not uniques. So you can't reroll the mage blood. So if you get you know this, you lose money. If you get a 3 though, if you get a, where's the implicits? No. If you get a 3, it's about 180. So you're about break even with a 3. Not too much, but you kind of break even. Then with a 4, you profit like 60. But if you get a 2, you lose like half of your investments. See, it's kind of steep. It is. Okay. But then in that case, I'm going to actually just sell it. Because I didn't know it was corrupted initially. So this is going for, it was what? 21? I'll put it up for 21. But yeah, Kinemix, to answer your question as to why it's expensive, it is a belt that enables your leftmost X, like 2 to 4 flasks, magic flasks, to always be active. Now, since you're new to PoE, you might not be familiar with how powerful flasks can be. But to put this in perspective, or actually saw a Reddit post that's perfect for this situation. I don't know that I can find it, but let's see. Mage blood. Okay, so this is not, it must have been in the PoE subreddits. Mage blood. This is it. This is the Reddit post I was looking for. So having your flasks up permanently for magic flasks means you're able to use modifiers that you would typically not use when you do not have the mage blood. What is that? You can have like modifiers that increase the effect of said flasks, but they make it so you do not gain charges when the flask is active. But this doesn't matter because with mage blood it's always active. So you can have one flask that's giving you max lightning res, and it's going to be like +9 max lightning res. Same thing for fire code. You can have insane armor coming from one flask. You can have insane movement speed coming from one. You can have curse immunity, bleed immunity. You can have stun immunity, well, not stun immunity, I think it's like really high chance to avoid stun, but not immunity. Insane crit chance. Decent chance to suppress spell damage, like 90% is nothing to sneeze at. Phasing, and all of these is like permanently up so long as you have the mage blood and those flasks. So it's a belt that allows you to fix a whole lot of defensive problems you might have, or depending on the build, some offensive problems as well, and just makes you, it basically feels like a second ascension. Like you use it and your character enters god mode. Does that make sense? It's like with that one item you can become so much stronger, because you can then rely on it for your defenses and then go for something else for your offenses, you know, something like that. Like that's the best way I think I can describe it as to why it is as expensive as it is. It's a very strong item, very, very strong.
When I'm ready and not before.
Why do I feel slow? Like I feel like my character is, oh, temporal chains. That's why. I was like, I feel slow. I remember my first season coming into PoE, and I remember asking someone in chat what, because the way I was playing PoE my first season was that I would open a strong box. Whether I had freeze or not, I didn't really care. But if he had freeze, well, I'd get frozen, and then my minions would kill the things. And I'm like, your minions are so good. How on earth do non-minion builds handle strong boxes freezing you? And you know what the person said? He told me they just became immune to freezing. And I'm like, what? That's an option? Yo, being a new player though, it's actually very entertaining. Like when I remember the things I did as a newer player, like learning PoE was genuinely fun. A bit overwhelming at times, but fun. The good old newbie days. I say the good old newbie days, but it's like this was genuinely like what, a year ago? A year and a half ago. 2022, I think, like January-esque, like thereabouts.
When I'm ready and not before.
A part of me feels like farming up for a mage blood, but a larger part of me feels like if I were to try that, I think I would burn out of the league. I genuinely think I would actually get there and then just burn out. So I don't think I'm gonna do that. So I'll just farm from my upgrades when I can. Ooh, Ziggurats. I'm also probably going to start selling more of my T17 maps. I think I'm going to start doing that. Because it's just free money. I love farming maps. I actually really like it a lot. So getting T17s is very comfortable. But I think one of my ultimate goals is getting to the point where I have, because I have a theory for so if this was a T17, I'd be dead trying to get back to my hideouts. So 42 divines. Thank you. Easy game. I just added like big drops like that almost make no sense to me, because I've always lived like my PoE, should I say, career slowly farming with smaller drops trying to get to my goal. So like essence farming, for example, or June farming, to where it's like I get this drop and I know exactly how much I get for it. Like June, for example, I will get 10 divines right now if I had to farm June, or 11-ish divines. I would get divines, right? But it's a 1 in like 3 chance every time I run syndicates to get that chance. So do I prioritize, you know, doing the syndicates, or do I just prioritize everything else? Because like in theory, the real way I should be doing syndicate, if I really just wanted to min-max syndicates, is run June and then run map farming, like in kind of the same vein I have it here. That way I still get to enjoy the effects of like having gold per map, because the real most efficient way of running June, you're not getting gold, my guy. It's not happening. I hate it so much, but you're not getting gold. And because you're not getting gold, it's like now you're either deciding, okay, you're going to run 2 different strategies simultaneously. You're going to run June and they're going to run something else that actually gives you gold, or you're just going to let King's March go to shit. Like those are your 2 options. And that is one part about this league that I'm not the biggest fan of. Like the simple fact that you kind of have to pick, like as if I was a delver, I would hate this league. I would hate it so much. Why? Delve apparently doesn't drop much gold. That sucks. Why would I want to farm content that doesn't give me gold when gold is so important in the current game state? You know? Are these even worth waiting for? I feel like in many situations the answer to that is just a no. You dropped 2 insane cards? Yep, I did. Oh, you thought it was 1? I don't like fully charging Verisium because of the same reason I'm not the biggest fan of. Well, sometimes the boss does that. But if the main reason I don't like fully charging it is because it's very likely that I would lose weapons in the process. and resummoning on Verisium can be rough. What the hell is that hit? I guess this area is bricked. I can't do it with minus 54 PDR. It's not happening. It is not happening. I'm so confused. Why am I dying? I know I have minus PDR, but that's not enough to kill me this much. That is not enough by itself. Oh. Oh. So I have less armor. And then I have minus PDR. So I'm hit on both sides. So I have to play the map very safe. So I basically have to make sure before I engage anybody, I have my maximum sword, or not maximum, I have over 10 swords. That way I have max PDR bonus from my minions, and at least I have I then have some PDR to defend with. If you didn't know about pneumatic dagger, yeah, it's I found out about it this league too, so it was pretty fun discovering I could. Oh no, get me the fuck away from here. Okay, we're good. We are good. I don't want to go back for that strong box. Is this greedy? Yes, it is. All right, the strong box is what it is. It's gone. Next time, don't pick minus PDR in a less armor map. It will get you killed many times over. But you know, one thing I do not fully understand about, one thing I don't fully understand about I guess blue altars. One thing I don't fully understand is if blue altars give you minus PDR, you just reduce less physical damage, and red altars give you minus armor. How exactly are you supposed to defend from physical damage without conversion? Because minus PDR's counter is conversion. Just convert physical damage to something else. Ooh, oh, beautiful. Convert it to something else and you're golden, right? That is the solution. But they removed our conversion. So now we have to defend with armor or PDR. But then Eta counters that. So so there's basically not a single, there isn't a single Eldritch altar that doesn't just screw you over PDR wise. You know? Oh no, this is the guys that kill me. Yep. Okay, that's amazing tech. I'm currently playing Poison COC and have been stuck with with Wasp Nests. Oh, you're playing Poison Chains of Command? Nice. How is your experience so far? I don't run into many people playing Chains of Command right now. Okay, we're done with that set. That's actually really nice. I'm gonna keep farming strong boxes. I think I really like them. Like, I actually like them a good amount, and I can actually turn my brain off and just grind strong boxes. And of course, making 42 divines is is really good. But yeah, because we're using pneumatic daggers, we're able to use auras like Hatred to just take advantage of elemental damage for poison. So we can use Hatred, we can use flat fire, cold, lightning damage on our jewels. We can use any source of flat damage we can get our hands on. Even flat phase, because we convert phase to chaos. I mean, we could use phase, but phase with Yeah, we could use Fizz, but converting it to Chaos and having Wither is just better. Is it TLDR? No one is selling one. Selling what? The dagger? If you're curious as to what dagger I'm currently using, I have a screenshot of it, by the way. Actually, no. Okay, no. I have it in a POB as well, but I think the screenshot would be better, so I'm going to find the screenshot. There we go. This is the dagger he is currently using. So, I mean, if you want a pneumatic dagger, your best bet is to craft it yourself. So I crafted this one myself. How much did this cost me if I had to estimate? Essences cost me about 10 divines to hit the mods I wanted in the rows I wanted. Maybe 8-ish divines. Actually, no, it's probably anyways, it's between 6 and 10. It's like in that ballpark because I was buying from the currency exchange. I kind of lost track. 6 to 10 divines for the essences. By then I had the suffixes I wanted. I recombined them, then I reforged them. That reforge would have been two divines extra. Then reforge chaos for the chaos. That is an extra 2 divines, so that is like 16, 14. So let's go with 10. So 10 reforge, 12 reforge, 14. Then now we're at the chaos step. Then we craft and we slam. Yes, so 16-ish, but then I think I got a trash like slam. So I blocked suffixes, so 18, and I then annulled, and then I exalted again. No. I think I annulled something else, and then I had to recraft chaos, which was like another 20, which was like so 20 so far. Then I got it on this time, so like I say 22 total, give or take. So this was like 22-ish divines to craft, and then this one was like 2 divines to get the perfect roll. I got unlucky, but yeah, this is obviously a really good dagger, but this is what my AG is currently using. My last dagger was trash before this, but it worked. It actually worked. Let's see. Map. Eight mods. That's what I'm looking for. I'm like, where on earth are my toxic sewers? Where's my rejects? Copy. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still have 2 maps here, but we'll take this 5, and then we need to buy scarabs, or we need to get more. I think. Okay, no, we have enough. We have discernment. That means I bought in excess. So discernment, 2 ambush, corruption. Please still have corruptions. And then, there we go. We have our scarabs. But yeah, Jed, if you are looking to pick up a pneumatic dagger, you're better off crafting yourself. I didn't even look at like daggers that were already on sale because I felt like not many people would be going for exactly what I'm going for. So I didn't even look. But if you are looking, I'm curious how much, what are the prices you're seeing? None for sale right now. Once you point with poison chance at 1 div, the bases are 25C. Yeah. Crafting is definitely the best option. If you want to craft, I mean, I can kind of talk you through the process, but the TLDR on getting the weapon I have was I spammed Essences of Zeals, which is attack speed, until I got a base until I had one base, let's call it base 1, that had dot multi I wanted, which is like I went for tier 1, but that's what I did. Then I went for a second base that had chaos dot multi, same essences, so attack speed. Then you want to recombine these two. You want to recombine both of them, so you get attack speed, chaos dot multi, and regular dot multi. It is important they do not have another suffix. Like these 4 mods are isolated in the suffix slots. You do not, if you get a third suffix, you have to annul it. It's not even optional. So you annul whatever third affix you get. Either way, now on your 2 weapons you have attack speed, and you have attack speed and a dot multi, and you have attack speed and chaos dot multi. These are your 2 different, I guess, bases, let's say that. Then what you want to do is you want to craft you just want to craft exclusive modifiers. What I did was a mistake. What you want to do is you want to craft 2 exclusive modifiers. So what exclusive modifiers am I talking about for the dagger? One-handed melee weapon. Look for stuff you find from betrayal. So you can craft trigger, you can craft minion attack speed. These are all modifiers you can use. I think you can craft charge. Either way, you fill up the 3rd suffix slot on both of these items with these things, charge and, let's say, trigger. Then you want to recombine them. Because they have 6 suffixes, you have a 70% chance of getting an item with 6 suffixes. Now this is the biggest RNG for you. If it picks your essence, you're basically home safe. Like you've gotten the suffixes you want. If it does not, if it picks any of the crafted modifiers, then your attack speed is gone. So then you have to make the decision on how risk averse you are or not. Because if you are risk averse, then you might be better off can have up to 3 crafted modifiers and filling up the prefixes with exclusive prefixes. By doing it this way, you essentially reduce the chance you get your attack speed from the essence, which is a shame, but odds are you have a higher chance of getting a 2 suffix item to then lock your suffixes and reforge speed to then get the speed on it. Depends on you. I would recommend the first way, which is you just craft the exclusive suffixes to fill up both item suffixes and recombine, and you have a 50% chance of hitting essences, and you have like a 50% chance of hitting any of the crafted modifiers. So it's 50-50. If you get that, you should, if your RNG is in your favor, you get all 3 suffixes down. All you have to do at that point is lock your suffixes and scour it. So now you only have those 3 suffixes. That is attack speed, chaos dot multi, and dot multi. Then from that point, what you want to do is you want to lock your suffixes and reforge chaos. You want to reforge chaos versus any of the other elements, because chaos has only like 3 outcomes. It has chaos, level of chaos, like socketed chaos or something. I think it has level of all chaos, and then it has flat chaos. But the thing with flat chaos is it only has 1 tier. So you don't have to worry about getting a low roll like tier 8, tier 7. You just have tier 1 chaos, flat chaos. So you reforge chaos, you hope you hit the flat chaos, and preferably you would have 2 open prefixes at this point. If you have only 1 open prefix, then lock your suffix and annul if it's a bad modifier that you can't have. If you don't mind what is there, just craft your fizz, because this is, you can literally just craft increased fizz and poison, because that's what I did. So I just crafted this until it was 105%. And if, let's say, you got only 1 modifier, i.e. flat chaos, and you have this crafted, you still have 1 prefix left, all you can realistically do is exalt, slam it, and hope for the best. Technically, no. What you can also do is you can also try to what's what I'm looking for here. You can use harvest add / reforge and hope it removes your crafted modifier to then place a physical mod. I didn't even like the idea of that, because if you hit increased fizz, then you can't craft poison on hits. So that's why I didn't opt for that. I just opted to exalt slam after I crafted this one, and I went with that weapon. But yeah, that is the step. Those are the steps to get to the dagger I got. You could get lucky, you could get unlucky, but those are the steps. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helped. Seems reasonable. Really appreciate it. Now I know what to farm for. You're welcome. I'm happy to help. These are wind screams, good for AGs, tanksy. Happy recombinators are back. Yeah, they make a whole lot of crafting so much easier. Like I have this 1600 or 1598 armor helmet because of recombinators. Like look at those prefixes. I recombinated them, as you can clearly tell. Minion skill damage, 100% increase armor, and max life. That is like, with target combinators, I can't do this on a budget, but I made this with like less than 20 divines. It looks insane, but I made this with less than 20 divines. Like I recombinated the prefixes. Then I just reforged chaos until I got T1 chaos, and then I think I exalt slam chaos on cold res. Yeah, they eliminate so many redundant steps in the form of like, you might just have to keep throwing currency into the void and hoping for a specific result. Like if I wanted to craft this with tarot combinators, I can't get minion skills, so I have to get a corrupted, like I have to get a fractured level +2 minion skill helmet, which is already expensive. Then I have to maybe craft my suffixes chaos res until I get all the resistances I want. Then I go for the prefixes, but rather I would probably just do life until I got armor in that situation, and then I craft my suffixes. But this is assuming I can buy a fractured +2 level of all minion skill gems. If I were to just open trade right now, and I try to find fractured minion skills, let me see, how much would a fractured level of all minion skill gems? There isn't even any on the, okay, no, it has my armor filter. Remove the armor filter. +2, and specifically on giant slayer helmets. It has to be on a giant slayer helmet. There is none. There is not a single +2 fractured giant slayer helmet. So you know what I would have to do? I would have to fracture myself. And how much are fracturing orbs right now? Let's find it. Fracturing orbs right now are, these are the shards. Where are the orbs? There we go. 5 divines a pop. Let's say it's 1 in 4. That's already 20 divines just to get the base. We haven't started crafting with essences or anything, just base off rip 20 divines. So yeah, I'm a big fan of recombinators, and I really hope they stay in the game. Like I crafted this minion shield for around the same budget. +1 minion skill gems, 99 increased damage. I'd have gotten T1, but there was no T1 that was not just, you know, break the bank expensive. So here we are. And then T2 max life. I could have gotten T1, but I think if I remember correctly, the T2 max life was with the level of minion skill gems, and that was like the best base I could have for recombination. So I just like, fuck it, and I got it. But yeah, like I have some really not like 138. Like recombinators have been the reason I've been able to craft as much as perfect of items as I have, and I haven't even spent like over like, let's say 100 divines crafting all these items. Like the one I spent the most on I would say is the helmet, because the helmet was kind of it screwed me over RNG wise with the recombinators quite a few times, but it was still cheaper than any other method I would have used to craft that helmet, so I can't complain. Plus, it allowed me to get a giant slayer, because at first I was going to go for a conqueror helmet, but you know, 1600 armor is kind of hard to beat. Like I'm getting more armor from my helmet than my chest piece. Isn't that just wild? Like I'm genuinely getting more armor from my helmet than chest piece. That is actually dumb. But that's just because of chains of command. Fun fact of my character: I could get better boots, but just because I love the 100% chance to avoid chill that I have been very hesitant to replace it. Like I can easily have better suffixes. My chaos res is not perfect. My lightning res is it's actually decent, but like I could have better suffix. I could have better prefixes. But just because of how much I love chance to avoid chill, and you know, being able to ignore chilled ground and all of that, I'm running this one. I'm like, yeah, it's worth. Thank you very much. I will take the fortunate.
Approach, challenger.
Also, Jed, do you have a POB for your current chains of command? Curious to see your current setup. You said you were using Wasp Nest. I'm not entirely sure. I've heard the name. I just don't know that I remember what it does. Oh yeah, you can't send POBs on YouTube. Yeah, for that. Okay, no, never mind. To send it, you'd have to go to Twitch. Chaos damage more. Okay. Okay. Oh, it was? I know I looked a lot into like poison chains of command, so the name came up a few times. So I've probably seen the item. Let's just pull it up real quick. One alchemy. Interesting. Oh, they look very different from what I'd have expected. Chance to poison on hits. Increased phase, not bad, but Yeah, the flat damage is not the best either. It is a claw, so crit chance is decent, so you do get that extra dot multi from crits every so often. Attacks with this weapon have added chaos damage when at least 5 poisons. Oh. So basically you're relying on this added chaos damage plus envy to pad up your flat damage. Okay. Makes sense. It's definitely a unique I think I might use if I ever try to make a league start out of this. But I don't think I would want to make a league start out of this build. Because this the high budget version is high budget, right? It's just to get going for your AG, you need a mask of the Stitch Demon to make sure he doesn't die. It's the problem why I don't think I would make a league start for this is because of how it's because of just how what's it called, how level intensive it is. You're literally pressed for skill points. You don't get access to chains of command until level 70, I believe. I remember this very well because I was literally counting the seconds until I was literally counting down until I got my chains of command up and running and I could run the build I wanted to run. So, and then even now at level 97, I still have passives I want. Ooh, I'll take you. I still have passives I want. The extra 3 levels I'm gonna get is going to be big for my DPS. There's so much I have to get done on the tree, whether it's from like a padding my minions defensive point of view, or you know, anything else. But it might be fun. That's the one thing I will say. It might be fun. Though T17s, it's not the best for T17s. How do you find T17s are to run, by the way? I'm asking with kind of like a focus on like sword survivability. I think I have a solution to it feeling as like it does now. I just don't like the fact that the solution involves losing as much what's it called as we do. The solution involves losing as much damage as like it involves losing a lot of damage, because then I have to go like block a bare minimum block and life on block. But then that would fix all the issues I think there are left in the build to where it is very comfortable in T17s. Well, very comfortable might be an exaggeration, because I would need to unspec out of these nodes and spec into these ones, and this needs 1 2 3 4 5 points. This only has 3, so you know, yeah. I can barely run them. Is this your survivability or like minions? Also, what is your estimated like budget for your current setup, I guess? Because like this guy, I would say roughly his investment is like, I'll just put it as thank you very much. I would say roughly his investment is sitting at maybe 180 divines. Like AG gear specifically is not that expensive. Like I said, the sword is like the most expensive bit and it was 20 divines. But other than the sword, everything else is kind of okay. We go for mask with the stage. We need to craft better explode chest piece for him though. That is one thing we need to do. Like ASAP. But I haven't done that. That's probably gonna be the next thing I did. Talking through it now, I just remember that that's something I'm supposed to do. So I'm gonna do it. But so far his chest piece is like 10 less than 10 divines maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's less than 10 divines. So his entirety is like 35 divines at most, if even, because I tried to get corrupted. Nah, it's not even up to, it's like just 30 divines. Yeah, just 30 divines, give or take. Three ziggurats in one map? Don't mind if I do. But yeah, let's say the AG is at 30 divines. Everything else was spent on my character. And in terms of, I guess, budget, that would be the blood notch was like 6 divines actually. The immutable force, I don't remember how much it was. I bought it a while back. What else is there? Is there anything else that's here of value? I don't think so. What am I saying? No, there's this, and I think this. They are kind of a value. The boots, I would say, I crafted for. I use a veiled up for the movement speed, so it costs 8 divines at the time. So let's just say 15 divines ish, give or take. The shield, helmet, wand, they all cost about 50-ish divines, maybe less, you know. Well, all right, Jared, thanks for stopping by. And I mean, what defensive layers are you using? Did you go Svalin? I am considering Svalin, I'll be honest, but I don't think Svalin solves what I'm looking for. I think Life on Block solves it pretty much. Yeah, I think Life on Blocks actually solves it. And the other issue I'm thinking of, Bone Offering plus this node solve it. If I take this node, I also get added benefit of extra armor from here. What scare-up / tree am I using? I'm using... My current farming strategy is just strong boxes. I'm using ambush scare-up of discernment. I'm using cartography scare-ups of corruption. Cartography scare-up of escalation. And then 2 ambush scare-ups. I'm picking ambush on the tree. And I'm going hard into maps. So all the map nodes are being taking scare-up nodes, maps. All the strong box nodes, obviously, including these ones. Discernment makes it so I'm more likely to get the rarer strong boxes, which are what are dropping the loot. We're going Eater of Worlds, scaling pack size of that, more maps. And that's basically it. I have shrines in here too, just to add number of monsters into my maps, just so I can kill them and get potentially more maps. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
and I enjoy it. But yeah, it's feeling very profitable. Very profitable so far. If you want a screenshot, you can take one now. Let's see. I can probably also just go over the scare ups. You got it? All right. Then discernment, corruption, escalation. So basically, rare variety, strongbox, corruption to get 8 mod maps. Then we have just increased maps found for based on modifiers, and then just number of ambush or strong boxes, and then strong boxes on here. So yeah, ambush. I should go disenchant some stuff. I have a bunch of uniques that I probably should. I'm a bit lazy to sell 8 mods. I'm kind of the same. So what I'm going for right now is basically my goal is to make enough gold to where I can afford to get, I'm guessing like 8-ish level 10 map runners, and my idea is I'm going to split them across my map devices. Keep in mind I already have all 9 map runners, but I will have a bunch of I'm going to split them like 2 per map device and 2 per map device. So I'm trying to see what the bare minimum is to get 99% no death chance on 8 mod maps. Then I'm just going to start chucking them 8 mod maps. Right now I still use regular maps. Take it. Doriani's Epiphany. Oh, these are now level 19? Oh, beaut. Oh, God. Lag. That was some lag. I'm also lagging on stream. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. I love that I can just stand here. I love that with the press of a Val Molten Shell, I can basically eat DD from the boxes. Now, I don't have the recoup required to just ignore it. So eventually, if it's enough damage, I will degen out. But with my swords, my minions leeching, we're typically able to just recover that life. Now, if I don't get somewhere in time, then that's a problem. Oh, no. Oh, God. I chose minus PDR. A modifier I should never pick. But yeah, that's my current game plan for my 8 mod maps. I still plan on selling them. Oh, by the way, here's a trick if you're feeling a bit lazy to sell your 8 mod maps. A lot of people are actually buying 8 mod maps for their map runners as well. So what you could do is you could sell it at a cheaper rate for random 8 mod maps. So like in my case, I just sell the random ones for like 4 to 8 CA pop, and typically people buy it. So if you sell it for 4C, and you can use that to just basically empty your 8 mod map tab and go again, pretty much. It may not seem like a lot of money, but it adds up when you're dropping. You can see how many maps I'm dropping. So if each one of these is 4 chaos, you can tell we're gathering a lot of wealth, because like if I look into my map tab, those are just the maps, or the 8 mod maps. Technically not all are 8 mods, some are just regular non-corrupted now because of that bloody, because I ran T17s without corruption scarab and I didn't forgot to change the affinity, so some of them are actually not 8 mod but rather just regular maps, which I'll have to go through and remove. But anyways, maps, 8 mods. I have 3-ish hundred, give or take, 8 mod maps since yesterday when I sold everything, and I made over 10 divines when I sold it yesterday. And if I were to sell 300 at, you know, 4-ish chaos a pop, we're easily looking at 1200 chaos, which is at current market values, it is what, 9 divines? No, 10 divines is about 1400. So yeah, about roughly 9-ish divines, give or take. Give or take. And then of course I farm my 8 mod maps myself. I'm not over sustaining the said 8 mod maps, but it's fine. And then this is what the build, I'm just gonna run a quick, T17. These ones are corrupted. I find that some drop corrupted. I don't like that. I don't. But considering the overall volume of the non-corrupted versus the corrupted, I mean, I can't complain. The alternative is not running corruption scarab and not having 8 mod maps. But of course, I could also just run this same strat in T17s and farm my maps that way. This is an option that's available to me. X-proof, I don't care. Chaos, it has cooldown reduction and weakness desolation, so no. 10 Ellie. So because of the chaos res, they are going to look probably more tankier than they should. But I'm gonna run it anyways. I'm gonna run it, and I'm gonna run efficacy, I think. Could go fresh meats, but I don't want efficacy. I just want maximum DPS. And hopefully I get a bunch of my goal right now is to drop a bunch of singular focus maps. Not singular focus, toxic sewers. So I could then continue farming. But yeah, let's go.
When I'm ready, I'm ready.
This is my biggest counter. This is why I have an entire other POB that addresses the reason why that kills me. It has I want to say significantly less DPS, because it's like 10 mil less DPS, so like 25 mil DPS, but this shit won't kill me. It also won't kill my swords, and not killing my swords is a big deal. So maybe if I really wanted to farm T17s, I would go for that setup. Maybe I should, you know. But yeah, the reason this kills me, by the way, in case you're wondering, is currently I have, should I say, high resistance to hits that stun me. So if a hit does enough damage to stun me, I recover a whole lot of life. That's kind of like, that's my pseudo block layer. I don't have block, so I'm using that layer. But because of the way lightning, because of the way ball lightning works, it hits many times for smaller damage, basically. Now, because it's smaller damage, it's not going to stun me, and as such, I'm not going to It's not going to stun me, and as such, I'm just not going to regen with my major regen layer. So that is the reason why it is as dangerous as it is for me. Big hits, I don't care about. Katarina's room, I can stand in it, no problem. But you see that lightning orb? It scares me. It scares the hell out of me. And I'll kind of show you what I mean when I get into Katarina's area, I guess. Like, look at this. I'm gonna remove these altars. Oh, maybe I kind of want to get rid of you, eh? Yeah, I want to get rid of him. I definitely want to get rid of him. I don't know Synthesis boss mechanics, but I know when I ran Uber Cortex, they were a problem. What on earth is this? How did I get... Please don't kill it too quick. Thank you. Is something wrong? Because I only got one sword. I only got one sword from my 2 flash charges, which is okay, he's dead. And so long as she doesn't have like insane damage modifiers, I should for the most part be fine here. Yeah, T17s are for the most part not worth it, in my opinion. And then there are some modifiers that are absolute nightmares. Like today I recently came to understand, like, grasping vines, you probably don't want to do them. Like, I can genuinely just do this. I can tank this so long as she doesn't have like insane damage modifiers or anything along those lines. I just have to pop. Okay. Feeling a bit spicy, but that's because I'm running out of swords. Yeah. I'm running out of swords, and what happens is if I run out of swords, I run out of leech. If I run out of leech, then the damage it outdoes my sustain, and as such, I die. So I need to make sure I do not run out of swords, pretty much. Is the gist of that. But yeah, T17s. This is not a T17 build. I would say T17s are super smooth on this build, but T16s are super smooth. T17s, they're a bit iffy. I find it gets most sketchy once you have, like, if you have any situation where your swords are dying in the boss room, that is a problem. Like, for example, I imagine with Sanctuary, the swords are actually fine until Baydat does those waves. When he does those waves, it is a problem. This is how I typically just clear them. I stay away from the edges because I can't handle dots. But yeah, that's kind of how it typically looks when I try to eat their damage. I can eat her slam. And the funny thing is, like, this is actually just me. It's me eating and out sustaining the hits. Because I don't have block on me, so it's not like I'm getting lucky on a check that says, oh, you know, you just take no damage from it. I'm actually taking damage.
Arise, my children. Feed mortal.
Just die. Like this boss, how many phases you need for it? Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. The bosses take a while.
When I'm ready.
Ow. I'm gonna die, aren't I? I basically have to play off screen when it comes to these mobs in particular. Like, that's kind of how it is. So yeah, and it's funny, if I run into them in tier 16s, I think I would have the same issue, yeah. Because then they do even less damage. So the chance of them stunning me is even less. And, you know, the only solution I can use whilst keeping my regen or my build the same way is swapping my... I would have to swap my ring for Valerium. By swapping it for Valerium, then if I swap it from Valerium and I scale my ES a bit less, then every hit is gonna stun me, including these small ones, and as such, I won't need to be scared of them anymore. But alas, oh god, we're dead. But yeah, I find I prefer T16s by quite a bit, especially on this build. Like on my Frost Barrel setup, I preferred T17s because it was just more profit. It was way more profits, but like on this one, it's like I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. Yeah, I'm done. We got a ton of maps from it though, so I'll take it. I don't like that there's one mob type in T17s that just says, well, you know what? Screw your defenses. Well, my defenses in particular. Other people are fine. All I need to counter it is just a little bit of spell block and life on block. So this is the POB I have. This is my current POB. This is not my character's POB. This is my current aspirational POB, right? It has 33.4 mil DPS, and we're chilling. You know, we have good damage, yada yada. But this is the set. This is what did I change here? I don't think I changed anything. I'm going to hit don't save. This setup is the setup that can easily run that map. It has 28 mil DPS, but okay, no, this is not completely accurate, because if I am going this setup, well, there's two things to it. I might want to run Defiance of Destiny, which would then be 21 mil DPS, and this is the aspirational endgame. So it lost a lot of DPS. Now, if I choose to go Unetals all the same with life on block, and I find Unetals is enough, I mean, then life is good. Plus fresh, I'm gonna put efficacy so I get a better average DPS, 26 mil. I don't like fresh meat because it's not accurate for bossing. Like, you have more DPS than not having it activated because you always create a minion, but you have less DPS than it's being activated because not all your minions have the buff. So it's a very weird buff. All right, Armand, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Good night. I'm gonna probably be ending my stream here too. But this is the POB that can handle the map I just filled at. 26 mil DPS. It uses a rare shield to where you would recombinate the prefix. You would essentially have one. How would you craft this? You would have a base, a shaper base. I'm gonna do it real quick. This is how I envision the craft process going. Now there's no recombinators here, but I'll just make do with what I have. Offhands, strength shield, and pinnacle tower shield. So how I imagine it would go is I would get 2 shaper shields of decent, you know, armor and level. I would find a base that has this shaper suffix, recover life on block, as well as maybe 1 modifier as a prefix. Where is the POB? What's an important prefix? Chance to block spell. That's an important one. So chance to block spell. Maybe something like this, right? This is something like this. Sorry, my brain had to boot. As a base, where you can potentially remove the other prefixes and or suffixes. But for the suffixes, you don't fully care what is there, so long as, you know, this is there. So you can have, let's say, even if it's strength or whatever else, you could have that, right? This is your base 1. You would want to annul off the strength, but you would have to do prefixes cannot be changed, and then annul. Or you just find a base that has the stats as is. But anyways, you want this and this. You want 2 empty prefixes for the other one to have the prefixes you need, i.e. life and increased chance to block. You have this, you get the second base that has stats. You craft can have up to. You block a prefix. You block 2 prefixes, so now your suffixes are full as well. Then on your second base, it is now very important that you have no suffixes, no non-crafted suffixes. So then you would have 2 prefixes. So what you then do is with the 2 prefixes, by the way, I'm going to put this here. With the 2 prefixes on that base, you would want maximum life and increased chance to block. And then you'd craft an exclusive prefix in that middle spot, as well as 1 exclusive suffix in that item. And then you craft, put aspect in. Like you just, aspect is not as good. So maybe avoid aspect actually. Can have up to is the only one that's currently there, and the one you crafted, so that's 2. And then this one has 3. So with these 3 modifiers, you have 3 exclusives. That should be enough, to be honest. 3 suffixes, 2 prefixes. The chances are not that good, but they're still favored to hitting the suffixes. And if they hit any of the suffix exclusives, then suddenly you have what we're looking for, which is T1 this, as well as E whatever life, something like this. And then from here you just have to, well, it would probably have recover, maybe a crafted suffix. If it landed on 2, if it landed on 3, then you would probably have the second one you didn't have to. So either way, you have a crafted suffix, and then you just change the craft. That is the way I envision this going. This obviously is going to be influenced by the amount of bases that are in the market and whatnot, but it's doable. My problem with it is, well, I am missing out on +1 minion skill gem on the shield, and minion increased damage, and minion fizz. And I also need to still go, I need to do this at the same time. I need to do this. And of course, I don't know if I switched it already. Yeah, it's still flesh offering. So I might need to swap this to bone offering. And then if I remove that, that's 23 mil, right? So like, not the biggest fan of that. But this version of the build would easily eat all the small hits that are not big enough to stun me. Will get blocked here and there to then heal me for 5% of my life, i.e. 200 health or something. Yeah, that just increased chance to block. We could also go for a shield that has more to spell block and then just go for the life on block mastery, but I would rather not. And alternatively, if I choose not to do this, I can still go for a surrender. My problem with the surrender, it's not nearly as effective in terms of block chance as this has 44%, that has 30%. That's why we're able to get to 40-40. So, yeah. I'm not the... I don't fully want to go into that version. But yeah, it is what it is. But anyways, that is all for now. I'm going to be back tomorrow, same time. Till then, good night.